Well, it's easy talking about your investments when you're making them and when they're up in price. It's not as easy talking about them when they're not doing so hot. So silver's actually dropped under 20 an ounce today, which is crazy. It had a bit of a recovery, but it did have a sharp break under 20 an ounce on Friday today, and then it closed for the weekend. I'm seeing a closing price on Kitco. I'm seeing a closing price of about a little bit over 20, and then on the other app I over here on TradingView, I see it at 1987. So it's, if you had asked me, if you went 2 years ago and you said, "Hey Rob, in 2022 inflation is going to be well over 8% on their numbers. On the real inflation is going to be much higher than that, but on their numbers that they handpick, it's going to be over 8%. They're going to inflate the M2 supply to over 20 trillion, and silver and gold are going to go down in price." I would have thought you were a little bit out there. It's quite crazy seeing the perfect storm for metals happening before us, but metals falling in price. So let's just lay that out there and call, a spade and say this is what it is. Silver's down in price, gold's down in price, Bitcoin is down in price. Bitcoin is so low in price right now that I'm tempted to go over here. I actually got a new thing, so I'm just gonna go. We're gonna go. Wait. I found this. Okay, we're just gonna pretend we don't see the Bitcoin thing over there, right? We're just gonna put that there now. It's so low I don't even want to look at it. So overall, I just wanted to basically talk about what my thesis is and what I'm playing out here, in a sense, with the overall market. Because what's crazy to me is, as low as metals have gone, as low as silver is under 20 an ounce, as low as Bitcoin is, where are the options on how to take custody of your money? If you do not trust the stock market, if you do not trust the banks, if you want to have custody of your money, if you want custody of your value, what are your options? Point blank. Like, when I think about it in that sense, I become so much more comfortable with this pile of silver over here, because I know that I have this asset here. When I realize that the premiums are going to go up, when they say the price of silver is under 20 an ounce, does that mean the people that own the silver are going to be willing to sell it for that? That's why I launched my own auction house, because I want to see what the real premium is in a free market. I don't believe their prices, so let's find out. Let's start bids at $1 and see what happens. Maybe it goes under spot. Who knows what happens? But so far, we're seeing things go a lot over spot. I just don't believe that people are going to be willing to sell their silver for spot price. I think that they're going to charge higher and higher premiums for it. Not only the dealers, but the people that own the silver are not going to be willing to let it go for spot price. So when we see that number on the screen, I think the price of the actual physical silver is going to go up, which is why I'm not too much of a fan of these mining stocks. I know a lot of people like the mining stocks, but what it comes down to, and why I feel so much more comfortable with my investments, is because it comes down to custody. Do you have custody of your money? That is what I think is going to be so important when there is a possible monetary reset. Possibly. Not financial advice, disclaimer. But it seems that the fiat currency bubble is at the point of no return, and at some point, something's got to give. And when that happens, hypothetically, let's say another reserve currency comes out there, which is already happening right now. The first thing I would say is, look at what's happening with Russia right now. They're only accepting rubles for their oil, for their resources. They're going to only accept rubles. And can we blame them? If you kick them off the SWIFT network and you put all these sanctions on them, what are you going to do? Of course you're going to come out with your own payment platforms. Of course you're going to want to only accept your currency. What are you going to want to keep using dollars if you get kicked off of the payment network? Of course you're not going to do that. So when I see that all happening in real time, there's competition mounting for the dollar. But that's something I wanted to show you guys in this live stream here. Let me go over here. So the first chart I wanted to show is the dollar index. and the dollar is back up to well over 100. It's 105 right now on the dollar index. This is a year ago, this chart. So back in July, a year ago, it's July 1st today. So back in July, we're looking at a dollar index just over 90, right? Now the dollar index up to 105. What that tells me is that it's an artificial strengthening of the dollar. How do you inject as many dollars as you have? How do you have a national debt clock that looks like this? Let me move myself out of the way so you can see that we're almost at 31 trillion on the national debt clock. How do you have an M1 supply? You go to the M1 supply over here, or M2 rather. The M2 went from, in 2000, M2 went from under 5 trillion to now it's over 22 trillion in M2 money supply. So it's like, how does that all happen there? But you see a strengthening in your dollar. How do you see a situation when the ruble, this is right after they did their invasion of Ukraine, go tank down, and then now it's jumped higher than it was prior to that. We're seeing there's competition among the currencies out there, is what I'm saying. And I think it's a matter of time before what happens when that competition continues. And people, I mean, technically speaking, the U.S. is the only reserve currency right now. But if the Russians are not accepting dollars and they're only accepting rubles, is it the reserve currency for them? I think the competition's already there. Technically, to them, they're a reserve currency because they're only accepting their currency. And what happens if China goes down that line? What happens if more countries start doing that, saying, hey, we're going to get into a situation where we don't accept your currency, we only accept our own? Now, is the dollar going to continue to strengthen? It's basically saying the reason the dollar is stronger is because it's saying it's the best of the worst. We are the least dirty shirt in the dirty hamper of laundry. That's basically what the dollar is saying. So what happens when the dollar does pull down, though? Let's scoot this chart back a bit. If we pull back the chart and we go back to 2008, in 2008, this is the beginning of the recession, when you saw the dollar index go from just about 90 to its bottom down to 72 over here, this is when the largest bull market in precious metals happened. When gold skyrocketed, when silver skyrocketed just under 50 an ounce, was right here from this fall in the dollar index to here. So it would actually be, if this was an inverted chart, if the DXY was down, it would actually be a rough chart for precious metals. But the fact that it's up, and if it falls, precious metals skyrocket. We all know in precious metals, if the DXY goes up, metals go down. If the DXY goes down, which is the dollar index goes down, metals go up. So if you're bullish on precious metals, do you want to see a DXY sitting at lofty levels with competition mounting? Yeah. Yeah, you do. It's kind of the perfect spot, because when the dollar index plummets like it did in 2008 to the 2011 situation here, precious metals skyrocket. So when I see a lofty DXY, it makes sense why silver and gold are down. And I look through the smoke and mirrors and I go, look, when that inevitably falls down and a recession is caused and things like this happen, I mean, this is what happened last recession. This is 2008, 2009. You're sitting at a lofty level on the DXY. And I've talked about this in the past, but I don't think enough people talk about just how much of a pattern this really is. When the DXY fell, this is the beginning, this is the recession. It shows that last recession, the DXY fell. This is the start of the recession, was at just under 90. Bottom of the recession here at 74. So it drops 15 points plus on the last recession. What would happen, just to the people in the comments here in this live stream, what would happen if the DXY, we'll go back to more of a short-term chart. Look at this lofty chart over the last year on the DXY. If this fell 15 points like it did last time, and it went down to 90, which is like down here, if this is the same level drop that we saw back in that 2009 situation, if it falls down to 90, what would happen to precious metals then? If this was the opposite way around, we saw a DXY down right now. If the DXY was down and not showing artificial strength and metals were down as well, that's a rough situation. That's pretty rough. But the fact that it's sitting there in this lofty ground and it has that much room to fall in the recession, and we shows last recession, the DXY did fall, and that's what skyrocketed precious metals next. So we might see more pain temporarily in precious metals. we might see silver fall to 17, maybe even 15. But that is the time to be accumulating. And it's also going to be very interesting. So I actually, this is going to be a shameless plug, but I don't advertise other people's companies. I only advertise the company that I own 100% of. So at least there's that. I can't be bought. There won't be any advertisements for any of these blockchain-based gold and silver companies. It's not going to happen. Stop emailing me. It's not going to happen. Mineral exchange only. But I specialize in more rare bullion pieces, so pieces from the 70s, the 60s, things like that have historical value. So they have these high prices on. A lot of people don't understand the vintage bullion space, but I actually launched my own auction house, which it's over here. I could show you guys real quick. And this is basically what I've been working on. When people think I'm slacking, I'm usually not. I built my own miniature eBay. So this is my auction house. I have about 18 items up on the block, but a lot of it's very rare stuff. So a little bit of generic, but in the near term, next week, actually, I'm going to be dropping some very, a lot more, just more generic pieces. Because I'm just curious. Maybe I take a loss. Maybe these items don't go for as much as they could. But I'm curious to see what, 50 ounces of silver goes for that are more of generic pieces like 5-10 ounce bars. I'm curious to see what a generic 100 ounce goes for with no reserve and just see what happens. So that's what's going to be fun about owning an auction house is I'm going to see what the true premiums are. I hear all of these individuals, on YouTube and all over the place talking about what the premiums are on ASCs, what the premiums are, on all these different types of bullion. It's like, well, let's actually find out in a real free market. Start auctions at $1. Let everybody know that the buyer's premium is 10%. Take that into consideration when you're making your bid, but it starts at $1. So if you want to bid $3,000, bid $270, and take that into consideration and see. Let's find out. Let's find out what this stuff's really worth. Let's find out what the real premiums are. And then not only that, just so I know that they can't bluff and they can't play games about what the premiums really are at, I also coded in my own auction history button. So now you can actually see the histories and the times of what these items sold for. So that's been my project, kind of unleashing it today on this live stream, is I actually have an auction history button so people can actually view what the prior auction sold for. So when these start to go and there's going to be no reserve price, let's see what happens. I'm starting with my rare stuff. I'm starting with a lot of consignments on rare stuff and things like that, but in the future, it's going to be a lot of generic stuff on there too, and let's find out. Let's find out what stuff goes for. Mineralexchange.com. If you're not registered, it's free to register. It costs $1 to verify your account, and then you can bid across all different items. The $1 literally it's not really to profit, just to verify accounts. A lot of auction houses, I found out, don't verify their bidders. So anybody can just go on there and bid $10,000, and it's like, wait a minute, you don't verify your bidders? That's crazy. So I implemented the $1 thing just so people can prove they're an authentic person. But anyway, we'll get back to the video. But that it is correlated to the video because I did want to show at least what I'm doing personally for my business. I want to see what these real premiums are. If they say silver's under 20 an ounce, what is a 100 ounce bar going for? In the comments, let me know. What is a 100 ounce going to be going for? Is it going to go for $1 over spot, $2 over spot, $5 over spot? Who knows where it's going to go, but we're going to find out. And also on the website too, I said this on the Instagram if you follow me on Instagram, but anyone who spends over $1,000, even if you just get silver, generic silver, I'm going to call you personally on the number you use to register to talk about just anything really. So anybody who spends over $1,000, I'm calling you personally on the number that you use to register on mineralexchange.com. Link should be down in the bio down there if you want to check it out. Back to the video. So let's study silver's chart a little bit. One of the main points that I like to bring up though is the fact that the DXY is so high up. Again, if the DXY was down and it wasn't, and if it was the other way around, if the DXY was already down, I wouldn't be as bullish as I am on precious metals. But the fact that it's sitting there at this lofty level, history has shown us time and time again that if we go back to that chart, it's very obvious what happens. If 2008 was right there, dollar index goes down. This is what happened. So from the period of 2009, February of 2009 to April of 2011. So remember, February 9 to April 11, let's see what happened with silver. Let's pull up that same chart, right? So February of 2009, we're sitting at $11 an ounce, right? Just about $11 an ounce here. to its peak in that time in 2011, it's at $49 an ounce. So that is literally what happened. Last time we saw a retracement of $15 on the DXY, which is caused by a recession, we saw silver skyrocket. Now, what causes a recession? So now we've proven, let me move myself over there. Now that we've proven that a recession causes a skyrocket in silver, this is literally 2008 to 2011, and it was triggered by the recession. Well, what causes a recession? Well, it's funny that you should ask. Let's go back to the screen here. What causes a recession? I've said this a bunch of times in my account, but on my channel if you're a subscriber. But what's interesting is what happens this time is they're going to start unwinding this balance sheet of nearly $9 trillion in assets. Because keep in mind, the Fed has bought up $9 trillion in assets, which last recession that we went through in 2008, they didn't even have any of these assets. They had less than $1 trillion back in June, August here, July of 2008. They didn't even have $1 trillion in assets at the Fed. Now they have $9 trillion that they're planning to unload on the market. Interesting. That's a pretty rough situation there, but it gets better because every single time they raise the federal funds rate, and I've said this so many times on my channel, if you've been a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, you see, I'm hiding the Bitcoin button because I don't want to look at the price of Bitcoin anymore. So we got a subscribe button there now. So hit the subscribe. But what's happened every single time that they've raised the federal funds rate, let's look back at the history. You raise the rates, this gray period here is recession. Raise the rates causes a recession. You raise the rates causes a recession. And this is because it costs more, it's harder to get a loan. So what happened in 2008? Well, let's go back. Here we're back at 2003. They were giving away these home loans. It was caused by a housing bubble. Well, why was there a housing bubble? They had these cheap loans for 1%. They were giving away money for so cheap, and everybody was getting approved for these loans to buy these overpriced houses, and we saw them start to hike the rates. Oh, all these people are buying houses. We can just hike the rates on them, right? That's what they did. They started hiking the rates, hiking the rates, hiking the rates. And here we get to 2006, 2007. We got all of these overpriced houses, all of these bad loans given out. And now it's getting more expensive to buy a house because these rates are going up and up and up. And then we saw the recession happen, and that was the last big financial crash from 2008, 2009. It's pretty clear what happens when they hike the rates. They hike the rates, cause a recession. Now, this time around, so many people have been panicking to go run into real estate because they're trying to find some sort of safe haven when we're going through all of this economic uncertainty that they're overpaying for these houses. So there are so many people that have overpaid for a house way out of their budget. Maybe they're getting multiple houses to try to rent them out and do things like that. But at the same time, they're starting to do the same thing that they did last time, where it was hike rates, and then they drop it because the recession happens. Hike rates here, then they drop it because the recession happens. But the problem is they're hiking rates prior to the recession again. So, and now they're talking about another 75 basis point hike. That would bring us up to 2.25%. We're already at 1.58%, which is really nothing anyway. But they really need to bring it somewhere up here to stop inflation. If they raise it again, they're playing with fire. And if they do that, it's going to trigger a recession, which in the short term is going to cause some serious pain across the board probably. The stock market's going to plummet. It might bring down metals temporarily with it, but I think metals emerges from the ashes like last times and becomes the phoenix that it was in 2011. So what am I doing? I'm stacking, getting some cash ready with a purpose to put it into more precious metals to buy these things that I can have actual custody of. Especially this time around. And what's crazy is this time around, we have a stock market that's sitting at these lofty levels. It's like, where is this money going to go? If we go through another recession like we did in 2008, where are they going to put it? Are they going to put it in Apple stock? Where is this money going to go? So if we see the S&P still has so much room. At the beginning of the pandemic, it hit the bottom on the S&P of just under 2,000, just above 2,000. We still have so much room to fall. But where is this money? As the S&P continues to go down, where are all these dollars flooding to? Are they going into real estate? Well, if the loans are too high because they keep hiking the rates, the people they're going to be sitting on those dollars. And when we look at the M2 velocity, that means they're just sitting on the dollars right now. Well, inevitably, it's going to go into the hot potato theory. Everyone's going to be sitting on dollars, which they are. All of this money's flooding out of the stock market, and there's nowhere for it to go. So they're going to sit on the sidelines with all of this money, but they're not going to go buy real estate because the loans are way too expensive and the houses are way too expensive. And then as inflation continues to get hotter and hotter and hotter, there's going to be a forcing of putting that money somewhere. And where are you going to want to put it? Personally, I want to put it in bricks of gold and silver that I can actually have custody of, that I don't have to go to a banker and say, hey, can I please have my money? Can I please have it? I know you have custody of my fictional money over there, but I would like to turn it into nonfiction money. If that's okay with you, Mr. Banker, Mr. Jamie Dimon, it'd be great if you could give me my money. But anybody who's gone to the bank and asked for more than $10,000, you know what they do to you. Oh, well, why do you need this money, Jimmy? Jim, you've been banking with us for so long. Why do you need $10,000 from us? You don't want us to report you, do you, Jim? You want $10,000 of our fictional money, our fairy dust money that we don't have in the background, and we shouldn't have been bailed out last time we went through a recession, but we did get bailed out last recession. That money that we have of yours, you want that money that's not there, that we have to shuffle things around to give it to you so that you get these pieces of paper that aren't back to anything? You want those money, that piece of money, Jim? And you're like, yeah, I do. Right now, silver's way too cheap, and I would like to go to Mineral Exchange and exchange some of that. But you get my point. My point is, it's like, what are the options in this type of a scenario? I'm hard pressed to think that people are going to take their money out of the stock market and put it into just dollars under their mattress. People are going to have dollars on the sidelines, but inevitably that inflation is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and they're going to have to throw it at something. So it's just a matter of time. It really is. And for me, I like to find the few patterns that I really can get behind. And the biggest pattern that I've found is last recession is what I brought up earlier. And I've talked about this in the past as well. Hopefully I'm not too much of a broken record, but when I am a broken record and I keep repeating the same things, it's because I really, really believe in the thesis behind them. And sometimes a point is so good that there isn't really a better point to bring up. And that is really that the DXY fell 15 points last recession from 90 to 75. And that time period is when we saw silver go to its all-time high of just under 50 an ounce. We also saw gold skyrocket in that time frame. Gold has since recovered to that high that it was in 2011, but I think it could go much higher. So if we have a competition happening among the basket of fiat currencies out there, a possible reserve currency coming into the mix, probably the yuan will be the next reserve currency and be out there being accepted. But as of right now, it's like whoever owns the resources and whoever monetizes on their natural resources is really king. If you think about it, if you are the oil producer, well, you can say, pay me in quail eggs. You could literally do that. So Russia could be like, you know what? I don't want dollars. Pay me in quail eggs, but we will give you oil for quail eggs. That's what we want. And this is something we saw. The Saudis went with China and they made a deal to accept yuan. Why is that? Why did the Saudis accept yuan if the dollar is what oil trades on? If the dollar is the reserve currency, why did the Saudis do that? And then we also see things like this recently. We saw, this is an article from a little bit ago saying, did Switzerland accept gold? Did they not accept gold? What happened over there in Switzerland? Well, here's something interesting. Something interesting that I wanted to bring up, and this is something that I have an audience from the Bitcoin community. I have audience from the precious metals community, probably a bit more from precious metals because I come from precious metals that I happen to have Bitcoin as well. The storyline for Bitcoin is that you have a ledger and you have a digital ledger monetary system that can be peer-to-peer and that you at least have a cap on this digital layer. But at the end of the day, it's a ledger, a documented ledger that is traceable, that you can see every single item there. Every single time it's called the UTXO, which is basically when a wallet sends it to another wallet and how much is in each wallet, is when you see a UTXO moving to another UTXO, that's all documented on a ledger system. Now, why can Switzerland say, we don't know? We don't know. Did Russia give us a bunch of gold? Did they not give us a bunch of gold? We don't know. We're Switzerland. All your bankers come to us, but we don't know what they have. We're Switzerland. you understand why it's, if you're a Bitcoiner, why it's so important to have precious metals as well? Switzerland just proved that. Sometimes a ledger is a good thing. If you want peer-to-peer payments in the digital realm, a ledger system is great, right? But if you want the safety of knowing that nobody knows what you have in your possession, there is no digital layer. There is no ledger system of silver and gold. People say there's X amount of gold in this country and there's Y amount of gold in this country and there's Z amount of gold over there, but nobody knows how much gold Russia has. Nobody knows how much gold China has. Don't be foolish. What, did you Google it? Did you Google how much billions in gold do they have, and you believe that number on a screen that you Googled from, from 2011? Nobody knows how much gold Switzerland has. Nobody knows how much gold Russia has. This is something that that this video will probably get taken down all of a sudden randomly out of nowhere. Because it's like I'm going to drop some facts for you really quick, because I come from the pipeline of gold and silver bullion dealers in this country. And I can tell you that nobody knows how much gold. If you went to the top bullion dealer in this country, which is one of my friends, if you went to him, and this guy's moving hundreds of millions of dollars in gold and silver every year, and you went to them and you go, hey, how much gold exactly does the U.S. have? You're like, the Fort Knox hasn't been audited in over 20 years, kid. I have no idea. Literally, I've asked these questions. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But that is a beauty in precious metals as well. So regardless, the point that I'm bringing up is that regardless if the price is going down, I have custody. I own it. I know how much weight I have. I know how hard it is to mine it. So are you going to want to put, if silver's this cheap right now, one of the things that I don't agree with a lot of these YouTube channels out there, and I wanted to go over that, and I see some of these super chats popping up here. I will get to, just so you know, I will get to every single super chat. I will get to every single super chat. But also, just so you know also, if you spend over $1,000 on my auction house, which there's going to be a lot of just regular generic bullion on the auction house next week. This week it's a lot of, well, there's also some pretty cool lower price bullion as well that's like medium rarity, but it's mostly rare stuff this week. So you'll see a lot of high premium stuff on mineralexchange.com. But next week I'll be doing a lot of generic stuff. So just regular 100-ounce bars, regular 10-ounce bars, things like that. Regular 1-ounce Engelhard 1-ounce rounds and things along those lines. So if you spend over $1,000 on the auction house next week or this week, I will call you personally. So if you're doing these super chats and you want to actually talk to me directly about this stuff, you can do that, and you can also get precious metals from my company. So there's that. Also, if you get on, I hate to be, I'm turning into this shill. I'm advertising too much. This is wrong. This is not who I am. But at least I own this company. Nobody else owns Mineral Exchange. I own 100% of it. So at least I'm advertising for myself. I don't even have to put there's advertisements on this video because I own that company. There is no equity positions to anybody. I own it. But if you verified a bid, it only costs $1 to verify a bid on mineralexchange.com, and then you get a one of these pieces of paper in here, and I'm doing weekly drawings where I'm probably going to be giving a few ounces of silver out every single week to people that have verified with the $1, and if you do that, you're allowed to bid across all auctions for the foreseeable future if you do that. So check it out, mineralexchange.com. If you verify with the $1, you get put in that box, and then you're verified to bid across all the auctions for the future. It's annoying that I have to do the verification process, but if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to, then anybody, there'd be like a free-for-all in there. And that's why I was so surprised. There's a lot of competition out there in the auction space, and literally like 9 out of 10 of them don't verify their bidders. So anyone can just make an account and bid whatever they want. I saw that as such an opportunity that it's ripe for change. Like I want to disrupt the auction business. So that's what I'm trying to do with Mineral Exchange. But anyway, I don't want to. The funny thing is, it's like when I start shilling my own product, I'm like, man, I'm turning into somebody advertising. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm about, Rob. But it's, you know what? It's relevant to these things, and I've been working really hard on that. So if you want to check it out, check it out. one of the things that I wanted to bring up and why I don't believe in these mining stocks that a lot of these other YouTubers are bringing up, whether it's the, I think it's like GDX, there's all these different mining stocks people are talking about on the precious metals channels, is there's no custody there. You are trusting that maybe this mining stock actually has precious metals that they're mining. Maybe they're able to actually be successful with it. Maybe they can afford to pay their workers wages and they have the right equipment and they can actually be profitable at these prices, because if I was a miner, I'd want to just hold it in the back of the mining operation. I'd say, hey, can we get some TL30 safes and throw them in the back of the shack over there? Because I don't want to sell our silver and gold to the COMEX or anything like that. I just want to keep it in the back shack, guys. Silver's at $20 an ounce, and how much I got to pay you guys to dig this up? Yeah, let's put the silver for a couple years in the back shack and put some TL30 safes in there. Can we keep the silver, guys? I want it on the balance sheet. I don't want to sell it. I'm just going to, let's keep mining it and throw it in the shed over there. That's what I would be doing if I was one of these gold and silver miners right now. But let's say they are profitable and they do that. You own one of these mining stocks. But the thing that you don't understand, and the people that are in mining don't understand, the Peter Schiffs of the world don't understand, which is crazy to me that I don't, well, it's his business, I guess, but none of them have custody. You think you own that a piece of that mining stock. What you own is a digital screen where you log into your TD Ameritrade, your E-Trade, or whatever app you use. You own that. You own a password and a username. That's what you own. You don't own that mining stock. Really think about it in depth. Once you exit the matrix and you take the red pill, Neo comes to, or you get what I'm saying. When Morpheus comes to you and he says, which one do you want? And you exit the matrix and you see things for what they are, you realize that you own a username and a password, period. When you own a mining stock, you own a username and a password to an app that is a trading platform, and you better hope that that app works. You better hope that they allow you to buy and sell from there. You better hope that they allow you to transfer it from that app to your bank. You better hope that your bank is solvent enough to be able to accept that transfer. You better hope that the currency itself is solvent enough to be able to go buy something with it. Like, you really think about those layers there. You don't own anything when you own a mining stock. You're not down there mining it and taking silver into your pocket. You're not doing that. You own a piece of a username on an account. That's what it comes down to. And why do people that own the physical bars over here, why are they king? Because they actually have custody of it and they can say, I'm not willing to sell it for 20 an ounce. Maybe I'm willing to sell it for 25 an ounce. Maybe I'm willing to sell it for 30 an ounce. Maybe I'm willing to sell it for 22 an ounce. But at the end of the day, the person who owns this, just like Russia is calling the shots because they own the oil, the person who owns the silver bar calls the shot because they own the real thing. When a solar panel company comes to the people and says, hey, we need silver, and they don't go do the digital nothingness. No, they need real silver. And the people with the real silver are going to be in the exact position that Russia's in when Germany is asking for oil. When Europe needs oil, when they need natural gas, the people that need silver and the people who have silver are going to be in the same position that Russia's in, where they go, you know what? Maybe I don't want dollars. Maybe I want you to give me Bitcoin. Maybe I want gold for my silver. Pay me in gold. I'll trade you, give me gold ounce and I'll give you X amount of silver. I don't really want dollars. I don't really like the SWIFT network. So you could pay, pay me in rubles. I'll take rubles. No, actually I want yuan because I own the precious metal. I own the silver. It is in my safe. It is real. I have the real thing. Period. And that is why I don't want to see, there's so many, I guess that's why I only allow my own company. There's people trying to get a position in my company right now, but you're going to have to work a little harder, guys. You're going to have to work a little harder. But right now, I own 100% of Mineral Exchange, period. Nobody else. And the reason for that is I don't want to advertise for some digital blockchain-based silver and gold company that takes the custody out of the people's hands. I don't want to advertise for some mining stock where people don't actually have custody of the metals. That doesn't solve the problem. What solves the problem is people having the power again. When we, the people, own the money in our own safes and we're in that position of power, we say we have the custody. Imagine if everybody went to the banks and said, you know what? Oh, and this is something that the algorithms aren't going to like me saying this right now. If everybody went to the banks and said, I want all of my money, Mr. Diamond, I want it all, and I want to go put it into something that I have custody of. Wonder what happens there. Are they going to be solvent enough to handle that? Are they going to ask for another bailout in this next recession? If there's another recession, are they going to ask the people to bail them out when we're already this much trillions in debt? When you got a national debt clock that looks like this, are they going to be able to get away with what they got away with last time? You got a national debt over 30 trillion. We're just going to allow Bank of America to come up to us and say, hey, can you please bail us out again? Look, yeah, use the people's money. We ripped them off left and right, but use the people's money again. They should have let them go bankrupt in 2009 for the incompetent fools that they are. That's what should have happened in 2009. But you know what? They went to the people and they took the people's money to bail out these corrupt bankers. That's what they did. And they're probably going to try to do it again. Every single bank that took a bailout should have been like Lehman Brothers back then. They all should have went BK. They all should have went belly up. And if people trusted the banks, well, that's natural selection of financial competence. People that are subscribed to my channel, people that are looking for the real resources, looking on how to actually take custody of their money, those are the ones that are going to be ahead. And I think they deserve to be ahead because they saw through all of this. They saw through all the smoke and mirrors, and they got their money out of... That's a new line that I brought up in this live stream, by the way. Fictional money. We want nonfiction money. You know, that's a term I learned in high school, you know, fiction versus nonfiction. I want nonfiction money, not the fictional fairy dust money that these banks have. And I don't want to use my fictional fairy dust money to bail them out. They can go out. They were playing around with fictional fairy dust money. They can handle themselves. Let them go bankrupt. But I don't know who's going to bail out these banks next recession that we go through. And if the Fed continues to hike rates, they're really backed into a corner here where they're going to cause a recession. There hasn't been a single time. And then the worst part is like, what can they do? Are they going to buy up more assets? How much more assets can they buy? They literally had just started unwinding their assets here. And then what happened was, you know, the pandemic happened, and then they had to buy much more than doubled their assets on hand. So where are they going to unwind this? Exactly. Like, Powell, how are you going to unwind this? I would love to know. And last time, the funny thing is, it's like they've already used all of the tools in their tool chest. They buy up assets to get us through a recession. So the last recession, it hit, and then they started buying up assets to get us out of the recession. We were about to go through a recession. Technically, it was a recession, but it was a very short-term one here, and it wasn't really caused by the housing bubble or anything. But they used that tool, and they bought up all of these assets. Well, are they going to be able to buy more? How? It's just crazy to me that they've used that up already, and then it's like, okay, that's already gone. But then let's go to the federal funds rate. It's like, okay, you're starting to play with fire here. What happens if they raise it 75 basis points again? Just a hypothetical here. They raise it 75 basis points again, and we see a stock market plummet. We see an absolute catastrophe, a big crash to the point where the circuit breakers go off on the stock market. What happens then? Are they going to reverse course, or are they going to continue to bump up those rates? Like, what's going to happen? I really want to know. I think what happens is they basically get the recession to start happening, and we see the stock market plummet, and then what's going to happen is Powell is going to be in this very tough position. The Fed is going to be in a very tough position. What do? Do we back out on our word of fighting inflation, the transitory inflation? We're going to trust them that they're going to keep to their word and keep raising rates? Or are they going to turn around and go to negative rates and start funneling as much money as they can into the economy because there's no other choice for them? Those are really the only two options. Cause a catastrophic recession by continuing to raise rates, because it's literally proven by this chart every single time the federal funds rate goes up, a recession follows. Funds rate goes up, recession follows. Funds rate goes up, recession follows. It's so clear, the pattern here. Look at this. Federal fund rate goes up, recession. Funds rate goes up. This is the Paul Volcker era, recession. Again, recession. It's so obvious the pattern that happens here. So and the funny thing is they're at least being kind of gradual. Back in 2004, they were kind of gradual about it, but this time they're spiking it because inflation's out of control. We have out of control inflation that's at the same rate that it was back here. When you see the federal funds rate with this kind of volatility, that's where we're at right now, and that's why they're starting to spike it a bit. But what happens if they spike it again? And they spike it again? it's just going to cause a recession. There's no way out. And I think like I've shown this chart probably 20 times on this channel. And I really, really overdo how many times I repeat myself. But the pattern is so blatantly clear that if they're saying we're going to continue to raise rates to fight inflation, but at the same time they already have bought up all of these assets that they plan to unwind, but it's like a kid that got caught taking cookies out of the cookie jar and they got chocolate chips all over their mouth and they're like, I don't know, I didn't take the cookies, I'll replace them somehow. But there's no cookies in there, Johnny, you ate them all. But I don't know, I'm gonna give you back the cookies. I'm gonna find a way to get the cookies to you. It's gonna happen somehow. That's basically what we're dealing with right now. Is some kid that took the cookies out of the cookie jar and won't admit it. It's very obvious. So, and what's great is there's hard to say this is a great thing, but either way, both scenarios cause a bull run in precious metals. That's what's it's such an interesting situation. So if they cause a recession, there'll probably be temporary pain in precious metals because people are just going to be looking to sell metals or whatever they have to basically cover themselves in a recession. Another point that someone brought up, when metals fell in 2008 and 2009 in that last recession, because it all fell in unison and then it emerged from the ashes to get to all-time highs from 2009 to 2011. At that time, one of my friends told me that when you're in a margin call position, as these bankers were in 2009, they go to the most liquid things to cover their margin calls. And what's the most liquid thing on their balance sheet? It's gold. Gold and silver is going to be their most liquid thing. So that is why we saw metals go down while the stock market went down last time. I thought that was a very good point that my friend had brought up recently and wanted to bring up in this video. So there might be temporary pain in metals because they're selling off the liquid assets to cover their margin calls on stock markets plummeting. But then it emerges from the ashes as the phoenix that it is and goes to, I think silver will go way past its prior all-time high. If it was, in my opinion, I think it should be over 50 an ounce right now. But it's kind of the time to accumulate the real thing. Because at the end of the day, an ounce of silver is an ounce of silver. A 100-ounce block of silver is a 100-ounce block of silver. And just because they say dollars are artificially this valuable doesn't mean that I want those dollars. In the same way that if a house down the street from you, that they say I want 1.2 million for this house, and it doesn't mean you have to buy that house for 1.2 million. You could say, I think your house is overpriced. I don't value your house in the same at the same rate that you value your house. I'm going to sit on my silver. So that's how I look at silver to dollars. I go, okay, well, I think your dollars are overvalued. If you're valuing your dollar at 105 right now, I don't value them there. You've printed a lot of them. You're in a lot of debt. If I was Experian, which is great dealing with the credit companies, right? If I was one of those credit companies and I looked at your country and I looked at the dollar, I'd go, I don't know if I want to give them a loan, guys. They went with their M2 supply. They went from 4 trillion to over 20 trillion to 21, 22 trillion. And they have a Fed that's raising rates on people. They're about to cause a recession in their economy. They're 30 trillion in debt. And they only take in about 4 trillion a year from people that don't really even want to pay them that 4 trillion a year in their tax revenues. Yeah, I don't know if I want to. It's going to take you a long time to pay down your debts there, guys. I don't know if I want to give you a loan, really. So am I going to want to use your currency? I don't know. So this scenario is, we're living through history right now. Like, this is literally history in the making, whether or not we're going to be running on some fiat currency circus show in the future, because it's just unbelievable that it's got this far. I wonder if I was able to be a reporter today and have Nixon sitting across the table from me, the person who dropped us off the gold standard, and I could ask him, did you think that we were going to be, because he specifically said we're going to temporarily suspend the convertibility to gold, right? And then, and this is actually in one of my prior videos, I dug up the history on this, that the French actually brought a warship. This is literally what caused us to go off the gold standard, is everyone was calling our bluff and saying, no, we want the gold, we don't want the dollars. And isn't it funny how history repeats itself? I want the silver, not the dollars. People that are stacking silver, people that are stacking gold, people that are sitting on Bitcoin, they want the custody. They want the asset, not the dollars. Now, what happened prior to 1971? Literally like 3 weeks before Nixon dropped the gold standard, the French brought a warship, an actual warship, an armada to New York and said, give us our gold. You can look it up. This is real history. They didn't trust us that much with the IOU notes that they brought an armada to New York, brought it into the harbor, right where they gave us this the Liberty statue. They brought in a warship and said, give us our gold now. We're going back. And it was hundreds of millions of gold, which is a lot more than it is right now. And they were one of the last, I think they were the last country. It was like the final straw that caused Nixon. He was forced to do what he did. He was forced to take us off of the gold standard. But when he did, he said, we're going to temporarily suspend the convertibility. Temporary turned into forever. And so if I was able to do an interview with Nixon, I'd ask him, did you know it was going to be permanent and you were being a politician and just lying through your teeth? Or did you actually have the intention to go back to a gold standard? I would be really curious what he would have said back then or what he would say today. Because what the circus show that we've grown fiat currency into that launched from that mess in 1971, I would love to know what he would say. Same thing with Roosevelt. I would be like, did you expect this to happen? Did you expect it to get into this big of a Ponzi scheme to the point where other countries are saying, we don't want to get paid in dollars anymore. We want to get paid in our own currency, and we're not going to sell you our oil. We're not going to sell you our economic goods unless you pay us in this way. So what's the overall sentiment that I want to give in this video that I want to share with you all is have the thing that people are going to barter with. Have the thing that you can call the shots and say, I want to get paid in this. Because if they're saying the dollar is this strong, but it's really this strong, do you really want to give up your silver when they're saying that it's up here? When they're saying, I'm going to pay you in a currency that is overvalued and it has a lot of headwinds coming for it, are you going to want to trade it when they value their currency here? It's kind of like the same situation as the real estate situation. If you see a house that they want way too much money for, are you going to go buy that house just because they say so? No, you're not. You're going to say, I'm going to wait until you value that appropriately. And I think a lot of people that are sitting on silver right now are waiting on the sidelines and going, we're going to wait until you value us appropriately, or we're going to charge you a premium because we don't believe the valuation of your currency. The fact that a premium exists in the first place, just common sense. The fact that there is a $3, $4, $5 premium on silver shows that people do not trust the spot price of silver. It shows the inaccuracy that people do not value their silver at the same level as people value the dollar. If they did, they would be selling their silver for 20 an ounce, but they don't. There's a reason why American Silver Eagles go for way over 10 bucks plus on premiums, because people don't value it at spot price. It's an ounce of silver in ASE, but why are they going for well over 30 an ounce? Because people change the premiums. They don't trust it. They say your currency is overvalued. So that is what I try to bring home, and that is why I launched an auction house as well. I've been wanting to build an auction house for a very long time. It's not easy making a miniature eBay, by the way. It's pretty hard when it comes to making people because there's a whole account back end, all of this stuff going on the website. That was not an easy thing to do. It took me 3-4 years to do that. So if I'm not making a video, I want to be making 3-4 videos on YouTube a week, and I'm starting to get back on track, but I'm one person. I built a miniature eBay, been doing all of this marketing. There's these billion-dollar bullion companies out there that have a whole marketing budgets, hold all of these teams, and they in my DMs. You're in my DMs, mate. You're in my just it'd be like Conor McGregor. You're in my DMs. What are you doing in my DMs with your billion-dollar budgets? I'm just a kid in his warehouse. I'm coming for you. But I'm really excited to see, because I'm going to I want to put my money where my mouth is. I want to see, it's like, hey, maybe it goes under spot. Maybe it goes way over spot. But I'm also going to add a premium to my auctions that if anybody spends over $1,000, I'm going to call them personally. I'm literally going to call you personally and just say, hey, going on. I want to talk about anything, really. And I was going to say like 30 minutes or something, cap it out, but I'm just going to play it by ear and see what happens. Maybe sometimes I get on a call for an hour and just enjoy conversation with somebody. But that's what I want to do. I want to find out the truth. And as we go through more and more of this, I feel like more and more people will look at the auction history records to find out what silver's really going for, what the premiums are really going for. And as I scale my auction house, we're going to find out, because I'm going to start every auction at $0 or $1 and see what happens. It's going to be fun. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. And at this point in my life, it's like, I want to put my money where my mouth is. Let's find out. It'll be fun. I think the powers that be might not like that. They might not like when I expose just how off the spot price is to the actual premiums of the real items. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to have fun with it. But that's my plans. But hopefully that this helps some people navigate here, because obviously it doesn't feel good seeing the price of things go down. It doesn't feel good seeing the price of our metals going down. It doesn't feel good. All of this stuff is like, I wish the scenario was different. I wish that there was a country out there that actually could be trusted to have a currency and back that currency to something and not have baseless IOU notes. That would be nice. It'd be really nice. But there isn't one. If you trust a custodian, history has shown, I actually can't recall. If somebody in the comments can let me know. And by the way, I'm going to get to every single super chat. I've seen all of the super chats coming in. I appreciate it. I will get to every single super chat. I will get through those in a second here. I don't miss those. I go back. I don't think there was a single time in history that a custodian has been able to be trusted. All the way back to like Roman Empire. Like, if you trust a custodian with your assets, they run off with it. They either lose it, they get robbed, or they steal it themselves. That's what happens when you trust a custodian. So money can't be trusted with a custodian. They can't be trusted with the asset that backs their IOU note. I mean, think about it. We had IOU notes. They stole the stuff and said, now the IOU notes are real. And everybody's got to use the IOU notes. But wait, they're IOU notes. Yeah, no. They're the thing now. It's like, what? It's an IOU note. No. It's the thing you're paying with now. They're not backed to anything. You just pay with those now. It's like, how you're the people we trust? You're the people that are supposed to protect us? The people who just stole our gold? You're the ones that, oh, okay. Yeah, let me put my money in your banks and get 0.2%. Let me get that. No, not even that. 0.02%. Excuse me. Put the decimal point one more back. Let me do that. And then hopefully, if I trust your banks with my money, that's your fake fictional money, and then we go through a recession, you'll use more of my fictional money, more of the fictional fairy dust money to pay off your banks that hold the like. We really are falling. Like, the thing is, it's like, maybe it's because I'm a college dropout. Maybe I spend too much time alone. But when you exit and you look at things from without the smoke and mirrors around you, you start to really see things for what they are. And I think it's just a common sense thing, but it makes you, I feel like there's like less, like probably the people in this live stream right now, we got 250 people in here. So thank you all for hitting the like button. It probably helped with the algorithm on this one. But maybe there's only about 1% of us that have exited the matrix and see things for what they are, see money for what it is. Because most people, they just look at their app on their screen and go, oh, I got 10 grand in my account. Oh, look at that. Oh, I got this. Like, how many people actually know what real money is? How many people understand the way money works? I didn't. I was a waiter. And when I was 22, 23 years old, I was a waiter. And at that age, at 22, 23, that just goes to show you how much down the rabbit hole I've learned in the past 5-6 years. When I was 22, 23, I was a waiter, and a rare coin dealer came in and took me under their wing. And that's how I learned the entire business. That's where Mineral Exchange came from. All from that moment was when I learned everything. And that is when I took the red pill and I learned about all of this stuff. It was literally 5-6 years ago. But I didn't know anything up until that point. So how many people have no clue about what's going on? Have no clue about what money really is? It's probably way too many. Probably way too many. And I hope that my videos reach at least some people and wake up some people, because it's going to get rough. Get a little bit of water in me. All right, let's get to some of these comments here. Excuse me. I saw a bunch of these super chats. I want to get through these comments. I appreciate all the super chats, guys. But again, if you go to my auction house, mineralexchange.com, and you spend over $1,000 this week there's a lot of rare stuff. There's a few. I mean, I think there's like a 50-ounce, a really cool 50-ounce silver bar that's only at like $1,000 right now. There's some good deals this week too. They start on Mondays and they end on Sundays. I'm making it very clean and consistent. So it's going to be start Monday. So all the new items are going to get posted on Mondays. And then everything ends Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Weekly auctions, always ending at the same time, always starting at the same time, mineralexchange.com. And I own 100% of it, so you know it's all coming from me. But anyway, there's going to be a lot more generic stuff going on the website too. So if you want, when I'm going through these super chats, I really appreciate the super chats, but you can actually talk to me on a personal basis. If you win, if you spend over $1,000 on one of these auctions, you can actually talk to me on a personal basis. I'm actually really looking forward to talking with you guys. Excuse me, because then people were asking, like, how do you get into the wholesale club? How do you get into all these different ways of getting precious metals for cheap from a one-on-one dealer that can get much lower prices because I don't have the high overheads that all these big dealers have? That's how you get in contact with one of them. That's how you get in contact with me, is win one of those auctions. But anyway, God, I'm such a shill lately. I'm just a sellout. Can you be a sellout if you own 100% of the company, though? Are you technically a sellout? Because I'm not owned by anybody. They want to get a position. They want a 20% position, but they're not going to get it. And I don't need their money right now. So I'm just going to keep scaling things. So anyway, sorry, I'm being arrogant. But I just hate if you watch my channel, you know I don't do advertisements. I'm not into them. David Arnold, appreciate it. The first super chat is David Arnold here. Sorry, I had to scroll up back a little bit. Banks buy land, silver, and gold. Buy land, silver, and gold. I think you're right, David. The only thing that I would be, it's so hard to develop a thesis on it, but in the near term, I think that the play right now is to have a huge cash position, have a huge precious metals position, and with that cash and precious metals position, be able to accumulate more metals on the dip, but also sit on that cash knowing that when the recession hits, all the foreclosures go through, all that stuff happens. If you had cash and you knew it was, fictional money. I'm going to use that a lot more often. I literally came up with that in this live stream to call it fictional money, fairy dust fictional money. What you're going to do is you're sitting on that fictional money, and that fictional money is very, very powerful to buy those non-fictional things, say in 2009. In 2009 and 2010, you wanted that fictional fairy dust money to throw at the real non-fictional stuff. So it's like timing it out is going to be key. So cash is king, I think, over the next year. Over the next year or 2 years, it's going to be great to have like a 40% cash position. And I'm just saying that because I just want to be real with people. I think I would be disingenuous to say go all in on silver and own nothing else. Own nothing else, period. Just only silver. Like I think that would be disingenuous. I think that it's a great idea to have a cash flow based business or a cash flow based job that your job is going to be stable and you have cash flow coming in. Maybe you have real estate and you got cash flow coming in off your current real estate. But I think that is going to be key. Cash and cash flow. And then the ability also right now to my viewers out there, so another really big piece of advice that I'm working on myself right now is I want to start making videos on how to build your credit, because it's been a process learning how to build my credit. And why am I doing that? Because I want to have the most pristine, unbelievable credit under me, my company, everything. I want all of the lines of credit to be as strong as possible over these next few years, because I want to be able to buy things and be able to leverage myself with these lines of credit. So right now, I think is a great time to have cash, but not only cash. And this is like a tidbit that I want to share with everybody that's in this live stream, all 260 of us. So if you agree with me, hit the like button and help my videos reach out to more people. Hit the subscribe button, would really appreciate it. Just want to drop real information for free on here. But I didn't know how to build my credit until I was like this year's old, or this many years old. Today old is when I learned how to build my credit up. And it's like they don't teach this in school, but what you want to do is and it's funny because you think you only want one credit card. No, you want like 5 or 6 credit cards, and you want to max them you want the highest capable buying limit, but the trick is you only want to spend 10% of them. So the biggest trick that I found out is that, say you have 5 credit cards and they each have $1,000 limit. You want to try to get them to bring your limit from 1,000 to 10,000 or 1,000 to 5,000 on all 5 of those credit cards. And then here is the key point: only spend 10%. So if you have a buying power of 50,000, you do not want to spend more than 5,000 of that per month, and then you want it all set up on auto pay. Have one account where all of these cards, take the 10 minutes for each individual card whenever you activate them to set up the auto pay to that one account. Make sure there's money in that one account and buy things on those 10 or 5 credit cards and have it all going into that one account, and they all auto pay off of it. So put this card, put a Netflix subscription on this card, put another subscription on this card, use this card for your gas, do whatever, separate it up so you're spending a little bit on each individual card, not more than 10%, and then having it all auto pay off of one checking account, and that'll build your credit so fast it's unbelievable. So I didn't know these little tricks, but that is one of the most key tricks to credit. So I just saved you. I probably just saved you a solid like 3 hours of studying on building credit. If you're trying to build your credit, that is how you do it. And that is what I've been doing lately, is building my credit up and learning how to do that. So people in the comments, call me out if I'm wrong. Let them know in the comments. We got a lot of people in the comments. I don't edit or moderate my comments, so people can let you know if I'm saying the truth or not. But really, the key is, I always thought it was like, if you spend 10,000 on a 10,000 limit, but you buy it, you pay it off at the end of the month, that's still good for your credit. No, it's not. You have to spend less than 10%. So you want to use them, use their tricks and tools against them, and then use those lines of credit to use the fictional money to leverage yourself to buy the non-fictional stuff at the right time. Right now, I don't want to use any lines of credit. I have no credit. I don't have any balances with anybody. Right now, it's just only to build it right now. I'm buying my gas, buying my little things on this, my little subscriptions and stuff, and make sure it gets paid off every month, and building up those capabilities, because I want my business to be able to get $1 million when it needs that extra million. I want to be able to get myself to get millions of dollars when I need those extra millions. And you get that by having good credit. So anyway, little rant on that. All for that super chat of David Arnold. So thank you, David. I tend to ramble a little bit on these super chats, but that's my rant on that. Vacation, VT247 has been here since the very beginning. I appreciate you, man. VT247 says, what's the better bargain? Silver under 20 per ounce or platinum under 900? You guys know I love my platinum. It's tough. It's tough because it's the thing that it comes down to is like, who is going to be able to mine it profitably? If inflation is higher and you got to pay higher wages for people to mine this, like, platinum only comes from like Africa and Russia. Most of it comes from Africa and Russia. So what miners are established there and can afford to pay for the labor to dig this out of the ground and then export it around the country? It's like, and as more and more things like platinum is starting to get used in fuel cells and batteries and things like that, because it's a very unique metal. Same thing with palladium. If an emerging industry ends up using a lot of platinum and palladium, it's a very small amount of it out there, and it's very, very undervalued right now. So, but at the same time with silver as well, I think what it comes down to is it's like they're both. I really love them both as industrial metals. If I can have both of them, that's what I personally do. But if I had to choose between one or the other, I think silver goes to 40 faster than platinum goes to 1800. But I like them both. That's how I would. I think that's how I would put it. And I think that at this price with silver, the miners for silver are not going to be able to mine it efficiently enough to pay for the costs. That it's just going to have to, the premiums are going to have to skyrocket, which I'm going to prove with my website. The premium skyrocket, I'm going to prove that with Mineral Exchange. That or the price has to go up. So I like them both, but I would have to choose silver between the two of them right now. Unless an emerging industry, unless like tomorrow fuel cells just like pick up, or some emerging industry says, hey, we're going to need a lot of platinum for these new types of batteries, which is actually there's a new technology that's using the platinum on the tips of the batteries. So if something like that, that's all kind of in test phases right now. But if Tesla all of a sudden, some news came out that Tesla's using platinum in their battery packs, that would make me very interested. So like that, there's things that can change my thesis on that. But as of right now, I like silver a little bit more. I think silver goes to 40 faster than platinum goes to 1800. But great question, VT, and thank you for being such a cool person, man. You've really been there since the very beginning of this channel and growing everything. VT247. He's been here back since I was saying things like, "Hey, I'm working on something, everybody. I promise you, I'm working on something." People are like, "Oh, sure, you're working on something. Your website's been inactive for a year and a half," and I'm like, "I'm working on something." He was here back then, so I appreciate you, VT247. Let me go through a few more. Well, I get to all these. It bothers me when somebody's willing to give a super chat. It bothers me when I'm watching a live stream and like they just overlook it. I see some of these big YouTubers that like $50 is coming in, $100 is coming in, and they're just like, "Oh, whatever. I'm just gonna keep talking about a stock on my screen or something." And it's like, that's a lot of money. Like, that person just gave you $50. You answer their question. What is wrong with you? Like that bothers me when I see that. So I go back in time and make sure that I get through every single one of these and ramble a little bit, answer some questions here. But I appreciate you. VT247 was the last one. Let me get through it. Scroll here. Jerry loves freedom and decentralized assets. Jerry is in that house. Subscribe to Jerry, by the way. My friend out of Las Vegas. I appreciate you, man. He's been here since the very beginning as well, and he started a channel as well, so I want to give him a shout-out. Jerry loves freedom and decentralized assets. Great guy, libertarian, just like me. A lot of love. Appreciate you, man. He says, "Hey, Rob, are you buying Bitcoin on this dip? Do you think it will go lower?" You put this the hashtag Rob Sultan for president 2032. He knows that. He knows I'm 28, so we got to wait a few years, but I would love to be. Actually, I don't know if I would love to be, but I would love to shake things up a little bit. I'll tell you what, if I was president, I'd be having to pardon myself a lot. I'd be like, yeah, I did some crazy stuff over there because that's some crazy stuff going on. I pardon myself. That's some crazy stuff going on. If I was president, I would be abusing that pardon button. I'll tell you what, I'd be doing some crazy stuff up there. I'd be shaking up some stuff. But I think that what's scary to me about Bitcoin, the funny thing is I seen some comments out there like, are we not going to talk about this precious metals guy that was pitching Bitcoin and was bullish on Bitcoin this entire time? I started buying Bitcoin at the beginning in March 2020. You could literally go back in my videos when I was first buying Bitcoin. I started buying it like at 4,000, a bit more at 5, then a bit more at like 10. And I bought it all the way up to like 60,000. So now with this pullback that goes down, my cost average I think is just about where it is right now. It's like, it's pretty close. So I'll be honest, like it's like I kept scaling my position up because I had bought in so early. I bought more and more and more and more as it was going up. So I'm not going to say that my cost average is 4,000. If I got to do my cost average and like actually calculate it, but I've never sold any Bitcoin. So I'm not going to look at the camera and be like, I timed the bottom and sold it at the top and I put it. No, I basically had a strategy and I've stuck to my strategy. My strategy with Bitcoin was it's foolish to be all in and it's foolish to have none. That's been my strategy since the very beginning. And Jerry, you've been around since the very beginning, so you know that that's all I've been always saying. I've never been that person. And as I entered the Bitcoin community, it struck out to me very odd how many people would go, if you're not all in and leveraged your house and you're more like the Sailors of the world, the Michael Saylors of the world, if you haven't leveraged your house to buy Bitcoin, you're a fool. Well, really? Are you now, Michael? Because it seemed to me like you'd like to have some powder dry right now. Seems to me like you'd like to be able to buy some on this dip, but the best way I could phrase it again is foolish to be all in, foolish to have none. I got to a point with Bitcoin where I wanted X amount of Bitcoins. I wanted, to get to so many Bitcoins, and I got there. And then I put it into cold storage, and now I don't really think about it because I buy that, and I did buy that with the intent to sit on it for 5-10 years. I didn't buy it. The real money isn't made by trading it or trying to time it out. The real money is made by knowing you can afford X amount, putting that into cold storage and then just sitting on it and having custody of it, not keeping it on an exchange. All of the people, here's another tale for all the people in precious metals trusting this. I won't say the actual name of this company. I will do them that solid, but it starts with a K. and they do a digital blockchain based company, and they've got multiple banks around the world. And there's another one out of the US. We won't use a name, but it's the initials are like MM or something along those lines. And they're out of like, I think Arizona or something along those lines. A hypothetical company that's been in my DMs. You're in my DMs, mate. You're in my DMs. And I have proof of it. And oh, by the way, if you send me an email, I'm allowed to screenshot that email. I found out from my lawyer that I'm allowed to do that, so I could prove this later on in life that all of these big CEOs are in my DMs. You're in my DMs, mate, and I can't be bought. I'm coming for you. But they're saying like, hey, we got this product where we hold the gold for you, and we give you an interest rate on your gold. We'll give you X amount of interest against your gold. You don't want your gold in your safe. You want your gold in my safe. Over here, you want me to be the custodian, and somehow I can finagle your money around and give you interest rate on the gold that I hold of yours. Think like they're pitching that. People are actually pitching that. There's the blockchain-based one. We'll hold your gold in our vaults around the world and give you a token against the gold in our vaults. And there's no security risk in that situation there, right? Well, Google Celsius. In the Bitcoin world, there's a company called Celsius that was trusted with the Bitcoin. They held the Bitcoin for people. And they said, hey, we'll give you an interest rate against your Bitcoin. And you know what? Now you can't get your Bitcoin from them because guess what? They're insolvent. That's what happens when you trust a custodian. I've been preaching this for a very long time. So if I own silver, I own the real silver. If I own Bitcoin, I own it in my cold storage. Only I have the passwords in my head to my Bitcoin. If I, God forbid, if I die tomorrow, my Bitcoin's going down with me because only I have the passwords to it. Period. Not Celsius, not BlockFi, not Coinbase. None of them have the custody of my Bitcoin. I have the custody of it. Nobody has the custody of my silver. I own no SLV stock. I own no PSLV stock. I own no GDX or whatever mining stock is the one right now. I own none of those. I own the real thing, period, and I own what I can afford. And I make sure that I have cash flow and I make sure I have cash in the bank so that when the opportunity arises, I have that powder dry to throw my fictional money to turn it into non-fictional money. So my answer in this rant, Jerry, would be it all depends on your finances. If you have $5,000 in free cash flow a month, I don't see the harm of putting 1,000 of that in Bitcoin. I don't see the harm in that. I don't see the harm in putting 1,000 of that towards silver. I don't see the harm in using that cash flow to accumulate a position. I see the harm in the people that say I'm worth 100,000 and I'm putting my 100,000 into Bitcoin, or I'm worth $1 million and I'm putting my $1 million into Bitcoin and silver and nothing else, just those two things. I think they'll probably be all right over time, but what the problem is they put themselves in a position where if they can't afford their bills, they have to sell their silver where they don't want to have to sell their silver at. They put them, if they're in Bitcoin and they bought their Bitcoin at 60K, they went all in at 60K and they have no powder dry, they have no cash flow or anything. Well, now they're in the position where they got to sell their silver too cheap to pay for their rent. And literally 75% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck and puts themselves in these positions where they have an overpriced car. They have, a rent they shouldn't be in. They can only afford, a $600 a month place, but they have some $3,000 a month place. And they don't have the cash flow. Worse, they're negative cash flow often. And they are buying things, hoping that it gets them out of the mess that they're in. But that's like my way of putting it is like it depends on how much free cash flow you have. It depends on what number you want in Bitcoin. A lot of people in Bitcoin I notice are very greedy, where let's say hypothetically, say your number is 20 Bitcoin. You want to get to 20 Bitcoin and you get to that number, or you're like a Michael Saylor out there and Michael Saylor has literally like over 100,000 Bitcoin or over 1 million Bitcoin or something along some crazy number at this point. If you truly believe that Bitcoin is going to go over to $1 million a coin, is it not just greed at a certain point? Because if it is going to do that and you have your hypothetical amount of Bitcoin and it does get to that number, well, did it matter if you went from, X amount to Y amount if you had that much more? Because if it's going to skyrocket and be the new monetary asset of the world, I mean, at some point, enough is enough and you should just start building stuff. And I know that the only way to fix an economy is to build stuff. It really is that simple. If we want the price of gas to go down, we need to pump more gas here. Turn on the Keystone Pipeline, pump more gas. That's how we get the price of gas to go down. We don't go beg OPEC for money for gas. We don't go beg Russia for gas. No, we pump gas here and we call the shots because whoever pumps the gas calls the shots. And for some reason, we're not doing that. But in the same way, a lot of the population goes, well, I have 3 Bitcoin to my name and I have no cash flow coming in every month. This isn't you, Jerry. I'm just saying that people think like this in the Bitcoin community where they're like, I've sold everything, sold my car, I sold my place, I sold everything. I got 4 Bitcoin, 5 Bitcoin, and now I'm going to be rich in the future. And it's like, well, you got to build stuff still. You got to build businesses, be a contributor to the economy, do something. So even in the silver community, in the precious metals community, people might be all in on silver, all in gold, have nothing else, have no business, have nothing they're building, and think that they have this like ticket to success. And it's like, no. The thing is, like, look at like a Jeff Bezos or look at like a Elon Musk. He could be chilling on some island in Barbados, but no, he keeps building stuff. I think that if I get to a point where, say, I'm worth $100 million in the future, which I plan to get there, and let's say I get there, if we're valued in dollars at that time, I still have to be building stuff, and there's not going to be a number where I don't want to build stuff and like contribute to society and make an impact in some way, because otherwise I'd just be bored. And comfort is really like, anyway. That's my answer to that. Hopefully that answers that, Jerry. I know that's a bit of a ramble, but it all depends on the finance of the person. But I got to a number in Bitcoins that I wanted to get to, and if I had an extra. If I was liquid a couple $100,000 and I had a good year or something like that, maybe I'd buy a few more. It depends. But right now, I'm just sitting on the sidelines because I'm really excited about the things that I'm building, and I have enough. If I had no Bitcoin, I would consider owning at least a whole coin at these levels, like if I had none. But that's how I look at it personally. DG says, bullish on BTC until when? What would scare you? I mean, it's annoying seeing Bitcoin pull down. It's annoying seeing it go down to a third of where it was at, or more than under a third of where it was at. It definitely hurts. I don't like seeing that as much Bitcoin as I own. But at the same time, if Bitcoin went to zero, and I've said this like in the past on my Twitter and on YouTube and stuff, if Bitcoin went to zero, I put myself in a position where that doesn't change my quality of life. If you own, that's a great way of putting this. If you own so much Bitcoin that if it goes to zero, your quality of life changes. The things you eat, the car you drive, the house you live at, the apartment you live at, wherever you're at. If your quality of life literally changes because Bitcoin went to zero, then you own too much Bitcoin. You shouldn't have been in it in the first place. And there's a lot of Bitcoiners out there. Oh, how dare he say that Bitcoin is... but the thing is, it's like, if you put yourself in that position, you deserve to be in that position. And a lot of them, it's funny, they're not as upbeat anymore in the Bitcoin community. And they're all over Twitter. And Twitter is like, God, you couldn't pay me to own Twitter, actually. So I'm surprised Elon Musk wanted to pay so much for Twitter, because that's like the worst platform ever. I joined it for like a year, and I don't like that place at all. It's a terrible platform. But anyway, they're all on there because they love being anonymous, and they're not talking so upbeat anymore in the Bitcoin community because a lot of them leveraged themselves. A lot of them trusted a Celsius network out there if they were foolish enough to trust somebody to take custody of it. But that people in metals, there's a big crossover, and I've always been the person talking about both. But if there's one thing that I want to preach to the metals community that we can learn from Bitcoin, is what? Don't trust a custodian. Don't trust a company to hold your assets. And look at what happened. Celsius was like, it's almost as if you trusted your Tesla stock with TD Ameritrade, and then TD Ameritrade said, hey, it's locked up. We don't care what price Tesla stock is. We won't let you sell it. We won't let you transfer it. We own it. We're doing it for your safety, right? That's what they said. They literally said that in a thing. We're not letting you get your Bitcoin out of, Celsius because for your safety, But this is what happens if you trust, this blockchain-based gold company. And they were in my DMs. They were getting me emails, and I sent them back No. Like multiple times, like 7 times. Some like Cindy lady. Anyway, they were coming, hey, we'll pay you this if you talk about this blockchain-based gold company and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this is literally happening in real time now. Everything that we've talked about on this channel, trusting a custodian, we're seeing that in Bitcoin. Where if Bitcoin fell in price, they didn't actually own the real thing. They're getting called for their solvency and they don't have it there, and people lose a fortune. It happened with like in the altcoin world. It happens even worse than the Bitcoin world. But don't trust a custodian. If you own Bitcoin, don't put yourself in a position if it goes to zero. Don't put yourself in a position where it hurts your quality of life. Period. And put it in cold storage. Make sure that you own it, and buy what you can afford to leave there for 5-10 years. If Bitcoin went to zero, again, my quality of life doesn't change. I continue building Mineral Exchange. I continue building my company. I continue making YouTube videos. Nothing changes. I still live at the same place. If I want to live there, I still drive the same. In my case, I drive a crappy car because I like having my car paid off. Could have a fancy car, but I don't. My watch is worth more than my car, actually. Surprisingly enough, probably people think I drive a fancy car. Put yourself in a position where your overhead is low and you can afford your overhead without selling any of your assets. Fair enough? That's how I look at that. Mark Poncho says, even Rob wears red for Canada Day. Red was for the market. I don't care about you Canadians. Sorry. Just kidding. Just kidding. But you know what's funny is, like, I have a joke where it's like, if you get Canadians mad, you know you messed up. Like when all that stuff is happening in Canada and you got like what's going on over there. If Canada is mad, if the people of Canada are mad, they're like the nicest, most docile people I've ever known in my life. Canadians are like so calm and collected, probably because it's so cold up there that they're just shivering and they're just calm or something. But if they get pissed off, you know you messed up because they're very calm and collected over there. But the red is actually for the stock. Well, I guess we could just say, yeah, it's for Canada Day. Sure. It was more for that the price of silver is falling so much and it's red, but we'll call it Canada Day. It's a perfect, that's what happened. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously. I see Zilla in the house. All right, I'm getting to the bottom here. I just wanted to scroll up and make sure I got to those super chats. I think I got every super chat. All right. Got to all the super chats. A lot of rambling happened there. Apologize if there's a little bit too much rambling. Someone said, you know what? You're right, Eric. You're right. Excuse me. But why don't I give you guys, I'll tell you what, I'll show you guys real quick. So, but I brought this up a little bit earlier in this video. But the funny thing is, I guess, let me know in the comments real quick. Human says, it's water. Phil says, hey, I'm Canadian and I'm sorry. Exactly. Phil knows what I'm talking about. They're the nicest people ever over there. If they get pissed off, they got that trucker thing happening. You know you messed up over there. You know you got a prime minister that's like anyway. But they're really, really nice people over there. But I really wanted to bring this up in this video because it gets to the point of custody where whoever owns the oil calls the shots. Whoever owns the whatever economic output it is, they call the shots due to what they produce. In the same way, gold is gold. It might have a Russian stamp on it today, but it melts down just fine, and they can put a Pamp Suisse stamp on it over there. Literally, they're probably doing that. You think Pamp cares? Think Pamp Suisse cares? No. They melt it down. It's 999 fine. It don't matter if it came from the U.S. It don't matter if it came from Russia. It don't matter if it came from China. 999 gold is 999 gold. It is atomic. It is on the atomic chart as AU. 999 gold. That is what it is. So that's something that I wanted to bring up, is that whether Switzerland admits that they imported Russian gold, whatever they say, there is, and this is something Bitcoiners don't understand about gold. They don't understand this about silver, is that there is true custody where nobody knows. There is no ledger system of how much metal's in your safe. The only ledger system is there that you bought it with. But after that, there's nothing. There's no ledger of where it is. When you buy your Bitcoin, you take it off the exchange. There's a ledger to get it and then take it off the exchange. But then after that, they know if you sold it or not. They know what you did with it because there's a ledger of it. But nobody, if you buy silver from Mineral Exchange, it's up to you what you do with that silver. You got silver now. I don't know what you did with it. Maybe you brought it to a coin shop. Maybe you still own it. Maybe you put it in, maybe you brought it on a boat. Who knows what you did with your silver or your gold? Nobody knows what you did with it because you own it. And there's no ledger system with it. And that is the truth about what happened here with Russia and their gold position. That people were saying, oh, they're going to sanction them into not being able to accept Russian gold. It's like, nobody knows how much gold anyone has. Nobody knows how much gold anyone has. Nobody knows how much gold is in the U.S. Nobody knows how much gold is in Russia. Nobody knows how much gold is in Switzerland. They have custody of it, period. And so that is what I see happening in the future is it's like people are going to want to have the real assets. And don't trust your gold with some sort of gold company that's promising you a token against holding your gold. And they hold the gold and then they give you an interest rate. That literally is what we just saw happen, breakdown with Bitcoin. Something I wanted to bring up over here. For the few of you that want to check out the auction site, this is the auction site, Mineral Exchange. This is my company, mineralexchange.com. I'll give you a sneak preview. You have to register an account. It's free to register an account. It costs $1 to verify your account forever, by the way. It's not like some people think you have to pay $1 for each individual auction. I'll show you how the process works. So let's click on... Here's one of the items. I have a Sunshine Mining 100 ounce. This is if you know about like toned vintage bars, this bar's from 1984. It's a cool bar with history. So it goes for a little bit more of a premium, but you have to click verify account right here. And then it'll basically have $1 fee. And then you can basically bid on all auctions after that. So it's the $1 fee. It's not to profit. It's literally just to prove that people aren't robots. That's the only thing. And that's how you can bid on the auction site. Let's see if we have, that's more of a rare bar, but let me show you if I think I have a few pieces that are actually pretty cheap right now. So here we got a 50 ounce. This is actually a super cool bar. This is an Agnon silver 50 ounce here. And it is at $10.25 right now on the auction. So that is on auction right now at $10.25. Again, anybody that spends, so if someone bought this bar and they spent over $1,000, I call you personally. So make sure you put your phone number when you register, because I'm calling you personally if you win this. And so that's pretty cheap for that bar. But we're gonna find out what a lot of this stuff goes for. But better yet, with the website here, I made it very simple. So when you log in, this is where your account will be. And then if you go to rules and info, before you bid, there's 10 rules and info to learn about the auction house. It's all right here. So make sure you read all of that before you bid. And then if you want to consign anything to the auction house, the thing that I want to help with the industry on the consignments, this is all the consignment information here. Basically send a picture of whatever it is that you want to consign, but I want to provide a place where people can get top dollar for their products. So say somebody's sitting on a lot of silver and they want to sell a little bit of it. Well, do you want to bring it to a shop where they offer you spot, or do you want to put it up for auction and see what it goes for? Now you guys see what I've been working on with Mineral Exchange and why the name is Exchange, because I'm here for other people. I want to help other people make a lot of money as well and make money with them, to help them move out of collections and not get ripped off by their local pawn shop or their local coin shop. I want people to get top dollar for their stuff on the free market, which is Mineral Exchange. So I'm going to be doing a lot of consignments in the future. So there's that. But here's a bar, for example, that went for, I think, a very fair price recently. This is a Johnson Matthey 100 ounce bar, sold for $2,400. It's a pretty cool vintage Johnson Matthey 100 ouncer. So that one went for $2,400. This is back on June of the 19th of June. So what's cool is people can actually see the record of auction histories here. And there's a lot of rare stuff where a lot of people don't understand the rare bullion market, but just go to eBay and check sold prices over there and you can learn a little bit more about rare bars. But there's going to be a lot of generic stuff on the website as well. And it's super easy to navigate, super easy to understand how the website works. And I'm just getting it better and better as we go along. You can do the sort feature here. You can search, all different kinds of stuff. And just starting it kind of small and moving it bigger and bigger as we go along. Some really rare stuff is on here as well. Because I come from, if you follow me on Mineral Exchange on Instagram, you know more about the stuff that, this is actually, this set right here, this is going for a steal right now. I want this one. Like if there is one thing that I want right now, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I want, but this right here is an original refinement set where it has the 1 grammer, it has the 5 grammer, it has the 2.5, and it has all the silver, and it's an original set. I believe these were made in the 70s. These are close-up pictures of it, but this is only, I mean, the gold is worth more than that, I believe. That's like $250. Another, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to what the melt value is, and that's a rare set right there with the original box. So that's a pretty cool one. But all kind, like I think where there's only this week there's 18 lots up on the auction house. There's 18 lots right now. This is super cool. If you know Engelhard, that's like a brand that went out of business, and it's like the known brand. But these are 8 sequential Engelhards that are on the block right now, and it's only at $2,500. These usually, just a regular one that's not sequential order, usually goes on. If you check eBay solds, I think they go for like $350-ish, something like that, a piece, and we're not even at $300 a piece yet on 8 of them. So, or it's about, no, it's a little bit over $300 right now on the sequential 8. So a lot of cool stuff, but not too much generic right now, just a lot of more semi-rare and rare stuff right now on the site. But next week, a lot of generic stuff is going on the website. So we're going to find out what a generic 10-ounce bar goes for, what a generic 50-ounce bar goes for, 100-ounce bars. That's what's going to be going on the block next week, to just find out what's the real premium of silver. Again, anybody who spends over $1,000 will get a call from me personally. So think that's the best super chat. You know, you get silver for a fair price, and at the same time, I'll call you personally. So that's what I've been working on, mineralexchange.com. When you first go to the website, it'll look like this. I think it looks pretty cool myself. I'm going to pat myself on the back because all of these auction houses look so ugly when I go to the front of a private auction house. They charge way too much in their buyer's fee, and they all look very ugly and not simplistic. And I wanted to make my website as simplistic as possible and easy to use as possible, and cut all their fees down by literally over 2/3. So that was my plan with Mineral Exchange. It costs nothing to consign. It's $0 to consign. If you enter the website, it'll make you register here. So you'll click register. First name, last name, email, password, phone number. Make sure you put in the right email because it'll make you verify your email. You get a link in the email, and it'll say activate, and click the activation link, and then you're activated forever. And then make sure you put the right phone number, because if you win, I'm going to be giving that. The phone number that you put right here is the phone number that I'll be calling if you win. So make sure you do that. And then also, the last thing I wanted to say, and I'll get back to the video, is that the dollar is for all auctions indefinitely. So if you pay the dollar, and literally when you pay the $1 verification, there's a list of, I'm not going to say the exact number, but I'll show you how many are in here. There's that many in here, but everybody who pays the $1 verification, you're going to be entered for a weekly giveaway where I'm going to pull these out on a live stream, where I might pull out a few, maybe I pull out a bunch of them and I do, a few ounces of silver, maybe even we throw in a big prize. But everybody who's on the verified bidders list, which only costs $1 to do, it's not to profit. I promise you, I'll be giving away so much more money than the dollar verification. It is not to profit. It's just like the lowest dollar figure I could make, so that it verifies everybody's account. It just blew my mind. I saw these, I'm not going to say their names because it's wrong to do that, but let me go back. I saw some auction houses out there that are charging, A, they charge like a 20% buyer's fee. B, they start at a price. So if they want $2,000, they start their auction at $2,000. And it's like, why even auction? Just do it as a buy it now. That makes no sense. And also, if eBay charges 13%, why are your buyer's fees over 20%? A lot of these auction houses have like a 20-30% buyer's fee and then a 10% consignment fee as well. So there's really not a benefit in using their auction house. So I said, okay, no money to consign, $0 to consign, and a 10% buyer's fee. But better, let's start the auction at $1. It's annoying having a buyer's fee. I get it. The 10%, it's annoying. But the truth is, it's lower than all the other auction houses. But here's what the other auction houses don't do. I start the auctions at $1. If the auction starts at $1, you can take into, and that's why the 10% is a perfect number that you can do the calculations. If you want to spend $70 on something, bid $63. If you want to spend $3,000 on something, bid $2,700. It's really that simple. If the auction started at 2,700 and there's a 10% buyer's fee, that's not right. That's not cool. But if it starts at $1, you can take into your calculations. I'm willing to spend this much on this. That I've calculated that into it. So I wanted to change the dynamic of these auction houses online. That was my plan with Mineral Exchange. So it's been, God, I started building the website, buying the domains. Buying mineralexchange.com was absolutely hell, by the way. Those domain guys make a fortune. I'm telling you. Owning Mineral X, I own mineralexchange.com. And then also, I find this to be more valuable than my Bitcoin position, to be honest with you. So my digital real estate is a .com. Having a .com or a .io is so hard to get now, specifically a .com. But to own, so there's SpaceX, right? I own Mineral X, so mineralx.com and mineralexchange.com. And to get the actual keywords like that and then organically show up on Google like that, that is so hard to get those. That was a gnarly negotiation. I don't even want to say how much money I paid for those domains, but that whole process has been literally years and years and years in the making. I remember when I was a little bit of story time towards the end of this video, because we already kind of talked about everything we wanted to talk about in this video. Kind of the story of how this all came to be. I plan to open up a little bit more in the future on the YouTube and talk about my kind of journey to get to where I'm at, because I'm still on the journey right now. All the people subscribed to my channel, all the people in this live stream, you're all kind of on the journey with me. I don't really consider myself extremely successful. I think I'm pretty well off at this point. It's been a lot of work, but I'm still on the journey and I'm still building stuff. I'm not even a tenth where I want to be. But I was a waiter when I was 22. And a group of rare coin dealers came in, and long story short, they kind of took me under their wing, and I was always really annoying. Like, they hated me. They loved me, but they hated me, because I'd always be like, why are you going to trade shows? What's wrong with you? Like, there's a trade show right now, there's a coin show right now, and everybody's like, why aren't you here? You should be there. And this, I'm talking to 300, there's not 300 people walking around the Bourse floor at the coin show. I'm talking to 300 people on my live stream right now. I'm not going to no coin show. That's foolish. But that's something that nobody saw back then. Back then, the idea of selling on social media was like such a blur. It's like, nobody's going to trust you with thousands of dollars on social media. And I'm like, yeah, they are. There's way more of a validation to somebody that's been on, say, Instagram for 5 years and has never screwed over anybody versus somebody on the coin show floor. Like, that person could easily screw you over and then fly home and be gone forever. But if you have like an actual following, if I do one thing wrong, you're gone. You're gone when you're online. When you actually make a big social media presence, there's it's like you're building a foundation of trust over the years on social media. And if somebody is a social media salesman, there's a lot of people selling on social media, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Facebook. There's a lot of people selling bullion all over social media, selling collectibles all over social media. Excuse me. If they mess up one time, they're gone. They're gone. So if you've been around for 5 years plus on social media, being a salesman on social media, odds are they're legit. And odds are they're very legit, because you're only as good as your last sale. That's point blank. You're only as good as your last sale. You mess up the last sale, you're gone. So it's like, if you've been building up that foundation of trust on social media, but back then, nobody believed me. And I told them, they were building up another person's auction house back then. I told them, I said, I could build my own auction house. It gets me a little bit like, a little emotional almost. Like, it's like I literally would go get at the dinner table there. I would get into like these like wars with, like, I could build my own auction house. Why are you giving your items to these other auction houses? I could build one. I'm telling you, I could do it. You're crazy, Rob. You can't build on social media. You can't build an auction house. You can't do all that. So I got in this headbutting match with these coin dealers that took me under their wing. And I was always just I guess I was arrogant. I was arrogant where I believed that I could do these bigger things. And I didn't like that I had to like beg somebody to believe in me, because I was broke. I had like less than $5,000 to my name. I was probably negative money at that time. So I was like trying to get somebody to believe in me, but nobody would believe in me. And it wasn't until a series of unfortunate events that left me in Vegas, where I founded Mineral Exchange and started bouncing around pawn shops finding rare items. So all those rare items you see on my website, when you go to my website and you see this stuff, if we go, hang on here. When you see stuff like this, or better yet, like when you see stuff like, see something like this, for example. So these are just 1 ounce silver bars, but they're currently at $875. So that's literally 400 some odd dollars an ounce, which is absolutely crazy. But these Montanas are highly collectible. So there's people that specifically collect these rare silver bars because there's not very many out there. And so just like when someone stamped this $20 gold piece, now this is a pretty, if you know rare coins, this is actually crazy. This rare coins, I got a picture of this on my Instagram if you want to check out my Instagram at Rob Sultan on Instagram. But when they were stamping these coins, they didn't expect people to collect them. When they were stamping Morgan silver dollars, when they were stamping lib caps, when they were stamping that stuff, they weren't expecting people to collect rare coins. But people will spend $100,000 on a 1 ounce gold coin, right? Because it's a rare gold coin. Same thing with silver. They weren't expecting people to collect these back in the 70s. They weren't expecting people to pay that much dollars per ounce on these back in the 70s. But now people are collecting them in the same way that people collect rare coins. And there's a very beautiful crossover between rare coins and rare silver bars. But back when I got I got in a fight with these coin dealers in Vegas. And this was when I was probably 23 at the time. I think I was 23. And I got in a fight with them in Vegas and they all left me there. And then I went and lived at one of the hotels for like a week. I found out that one of these hotels, they rented out room on Airbnb. So I stayed there for a week bouncing around all of the pawn shops in Vegas. And I started finding all of these bars, and people didn't know that they were rare back then. So I would literally be buying these close to spot price at these coin shops and pawn shops. And this is back then. And the market was just emerging on the rare bars. And so that's where I came up with the idea of building Mineral Exchange. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm gonna sell this on social media, and I'm gonna be able to find these bars all around the world and all around the country. I'm just gonna start driving. And so back then, I drove state to state to state, finding all of these rare bars. I used to go to Utah, go to Wyoming, Idaho, back to Vegas, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California. I go all over the place sourcing all of these rare bars and then selling them on the Instagram. And so that was basically where I started. And that whole time in the back of my mind was, I'm going to prove them wrong. I can build my own auction house. I'm going to prove them wrong. I can build my own auction house. I can do that. They're giving all their items to eBay, and there are other auction houses out there that overcharge them. I'm going to build my own auction house. And to see it finally finished, 5 years later, and all the stuff that I've been working on, it's kind of emotional. It's crazy to see it happen. So anyway, I know I'm shilling my website. These are cool. These gold standards, sequential serial 4 and 5 gold standards on the website right now. Those are cool. I think people can see like the patina on them, the aging on them, the style of bars back in the 60s and 70s. I think you can see why there's premiums on bars like that. The fact that there's consecutive serials still together all the way back then. It's a different thing that people collect, and a lot of people in silver and gold don't understand it. But if you study the auction histories on like eBay and other auction houses, you'll see what people pay for vintage bars, and there's actually some really good deals happening when you know about how rare a lot of these bars are. But that's a little bit of a emotional history of how this all came to be and where it came from and all of that. A lot of the bars too, people look for things like this. So you see like the pour lines on this and the toning on this bar. Super, super nice Engelhard 5-ounce bar, and that's why you see such a big premium on it. But all of these auctions, they all started at $1. So we're finding out what these items are really worth. And so that's what's fun about it. Then you got like something that's a little bit more generic. You got a 50-ounce here that's going for what a generic, actually right now it's like less than what a generic 50-ounce goes for. And that's a pretty nice one. So you got different ranges on the website. And what's cool is every single auction will be will have a history of the auction, and people can see what things sold for. So far there's only 19, but after this week there'll be another 18 of them on there, and it'll just keep getting more and more and more and more where people can actually view what things are selling for. But anyway, sorry for shilling my website so much. Apologize, but I'm really proud of this, and people that support it, I really, really appreciate you. And I promise, if you pay that little $1 verification, it's super annoying that I had to do it, It's really annoying because when you go to the website, you're going to go here, and then you're going to go verify account, and it'll ask you to pay the dollar. It's really annoying that I had to do that, but I don't like how other auction houses online don't verify their bidders. Literally, it blew my mind that I found out that if you just put an email, make an account, you can literally just bid on other auction sites, on private auction sites, like they don't verify their bidders. So that was something really hard to figure out, by the way. So I literally had to like shoot myself in the foot with that one, because obviously you want to reduce its friction as much as possible being an auctioneer. But at the same time, I want to verify every single bidder and make sure that I know they're authentic people there. But you'd be surprised. eBay verifies too much. People on here, here's something that really makes me mad. And this is something, I'll take a shot at eBay really quick. They charge 13%. My cut's 10%, 3% under eBay. And I do all the pictures, all the marketing, everything in-house, all the shipping, everything in-house for my consigners. So I do a lot more than eBay does for these consigners for 3% less. But they verify their bidders at the last minute. They have a problem with their snipers. So people on eBay, there's like these sniper bots. These bots will go on to, like, say this item's up on the block. People have this software where the sniper bot comes in and bids at the last second. And eBay won't admit this, but and this is just my opinion, might not be true, just my opinion. What they do is when someone's about to bid in the last minute, and say you've been watching an auction for a whole week and you're about to put your bid in, they make you verify your account and you miss out on that item. They say like, oh, the dollar amount is too high. You need to verify your account, call customer service. And you literally miss out on the item and punch your computer screen. Like, that is the people in the comments, please tell that I'm not BSing about that. It is unbelievable that they do that. Like, there are times when there's a collectible that only surfaces like once a year, and someone waited a whole week and they're about to bid, and they make them verify their account multiple times to try to get them to not snipe. But they say it's to verify your account and they miss out on the item. And I can't tell you how many collectors I know that are furious about that on eBay. But guess what? Won't happen on Mineral Exchange. Because once you pay that $1 verification, I know you're authentic, I know you're real, and you can bid forever. It'll never stop you. If it's the last second and you put in that bid and you get the bid in time, your browser works, I would recommend not doing that. But not only did I implement that, where there won't be like a random verification thing where you have to call some call center that won't answer the phone anyway, that won't happen on Mineral Exchange. But also, what eBay does is, in addition to making you verify, you're against sniper bots. You're against software, and you can't have software because the software would have to pay the $1. The software can't get into a private company like that. So it's like, that's another thing I took out of the equation. In addition to that, all for that little $1 thing, it's not to profit, I promise you. And if you do pay the dollar, you get into this bin where I'm going to be giving away a lot more money than the, few $100s or whatever in the dollars that come in from verified bidders. So I promise you, it's all going to be given back and then some. It's only to verify our community and know that people are authentic. And that's something other auction houses don't do. But yeah, somebody just said, Michael Ford said, yes, that happened to me twice. Vacation time, really upsetting when eBay does that. Missed out on a few good deals because they held up my bid at the last minute. Frustrating. Okay, so people, just so you know, I'm not just being a salesman. I literally studied what was wrong with auction houses for the past 5 years. I have been studying and documenting everything that is wrong with auction houses. And it's like Steve Jobs once said, great artists steal. And no, it was Picasso that said great artists steal. Steve Jobs reiterated that, and I want to reiterate it one more time. I think what they mean is great artists execute. Great artists execute. I didn't invent the auction company. Auctions have been around forever. But I did see what they do wrong and change it and execute differently than they execute. That is the difference. So anybody can come up with an idea, but not very many can execute and fix the problems with other people's ideas. So eBay was an idea. All these auction houses are ideas, but how you execute is everything. And for me, charging that $1 fee so that people never have to miss out on an item they really want, that is what I care about. That is what I care about. And that changes the whole auction space, because the private companies don't verify their bidders. I'm one of the only ones that does that actually adds a layer of friction and shoots myself in the foot with a layer of friction to verify my bidders so that not everybody can bid. But I do that to protect the community where these other auction houses don't. And what's cool too is anybody who pays the dollar, it's going to put you in a different category on the site where I know who's a verified bidder. And those are the people that I'm going to be able to have more communication with. And then I'm putting you into this bin. And I'm going to do, like in this live feed, for example, I would pull out one of these things here and we'll do giveaways live. And I have everybody who's a verified bidder on a strip of paper in here. And I'm cutting it out. And they're all the same size too. I took that into consideration. I cut them out on my little cutter board thing and I take out each individual strip. And everybody who's a verified bidder who paid the $1, you're getting in there. And I'm going to give away probably like 100 times more money than I make off the $1. It's just to verify accounts. I want to make that very clear that I am not profiting off the $1. It is just to verify accounts. But yeah, this is all, and also these websites, they're so confusing to use. Their back end looks so terrible. I wanted to change the entire UI experience so it's just very simple, easy, and streamlined. I'm constantly making it better and better. And there was like a beta launch and now is more of a hard launch of the website. The website is like in full operation right now, full blown, tens of thousands of dollars in items up there. Probably we're going towards hundreds of thousands of dollars in items up there. To see it in full launch mode is crazy. And in the future, there's going to be a lot of new changes going on where it just gets better and better and better. And I just wanted to put my spin on the auction game. And that is what I've been doing with Mineral Exchange. And I'm really proud of it. And it's a lot of people thought that I wasn't working on something. Well, like the past, if you've been a subscriber on the channel, it's like, it's been hard. It's been a lot of sleepless nights. I don't go out and party. I don't go to bars. I don't drink. I don't do any of those things. All I do is work. It's Friday night today, as a matter of fact. It's Friday night today. If you want to get ahead in life, you got to work when other people are partying. There's people that are 28 years old right now in my position. They're out there having fun. They're doing things. But you know what? This is fun to me. Talking with you all is fun to me. Building this website is fun to me. They used to tell me I had Asperger's and all these things growing up because I like to be alone so much. But you know what? I think they're messed up. They want to say things are wrong with people that are building stuff and spending time alone and spending time with people that they actually want to talk with, and normalizing behavior where like there's just people that are living paycheck to paycheck. It's a weird world we're living in today, but that's my passion project. That's been I wouldn't want to say it's my life's work, but it's definitely been I had a vision for it when I was dead broke, living in the back of a car, traveling around Vegas and Utah, and to see it actually happening in reality. I don't come from much, everybody. I don't come from much, and there's documentation of all this stuff. One day I'll start posting pictures and like sharing what really happened, and maybe I'll be able to interview one of these coin dealers or something from back in the day and talk, where did I go wrong? Why did you leave me in Vegas? What did I do? Was I really that much of an arrogant dude that did you have to leave me in Vegas? Why didn't you believe in it? Anyway, that's been my hard work. So when I talk about building cash flow, when I talk about building a business, contributing to the economy, this is what my contribution is to the precious metals community, is no reserve auction starting at $1. And not only that, but as it continues to scale, these are consignments. So basically, as I scale Mineral Exchange, I want to give a place where precious metals and people in precious metals can trust this place because they have custody of their metals. They can trust me with temporary custody. Don't ever trust somebody with long-term custody. They can trust me with temporary custody to auction their items rather than having to bring it to a coin shop that is going to tell you, hey, it's silver's at $20 an ounce. Go try it. Go try it. If you're lucky, they might pay you $1 over. But you watch what these auctions are going to go for on the website, and people are going to realize that they're going to get way more money for even their generic bullion by auctioning it on Mineral Exchange than bringing it into their pawn shop or coin shop or anything like that. They're going to have to go there. These coin shops, go do it tomorrow. Bring them a 100-ounce bar. See what they'll pay you. They'll probably say, yeah, we'll pay you $20 an ounce. Or if you auctioned it on Mineral Exchange, it'd probably go for 22, 23, maybe more. So I'm providing a place where people can send their bullion into temporarily. This is not a long-term thing. Never trust a custodian longer than a week or two. But I want to provide a place where people can actually get top dollar for their ASEs, for their 100-ounce bars, for their 50-ounce bars, for their 10-ounce bars, and get the premium that they have into it, the premium they deserve, rather than just getting ripped off by some pawn shop. So that is the end-all vision for Mineral Exchange, is to be able to help grow the actual physical precious metal space and also collectibles. We will be getting into rare coins. If you're from numismatics, I wonder who in here knows about what this coin is here. Anybody can anybody in here say that say what this type of coin is? This is it's called a Regency holder. It's a super hard coin. There's only like of this coin, I think there's only like 10 of them of $20 libs in a PCGS Regency holder. This is like a super rare piece. Like I believe this is over $10,000 for this thing. But I have some crazy stuff that I'm into with collectibles. But in the future, there's going to be all kinds of collectibles. I'll probably be doing watches in the future, probably gemstones in the future on the website. It'll be crossing over to all different types of categories, but I'm focusing in on precious metals. And now people are starting to learn why the name is Mineral Exchange. It's something that's been a vision of mine to grow, because all things precious are a mineral. And so that's been the vision for the website for the longest time. And so that is what I've been working on. And the cool thing too is it's like I wanted to remove the friction, because what's funny is like when you see Gary Vee, you'll see Gary Vee go out there to these garage sales and be like, I ripped him off. I got him. I bought that rookie card for $10. It's worth 10 grand. I got him. And people are like, wait a minute, Gary, you're kind of already wealthy, man. Gary, what are you doing ripping these people off at these garage sales? But that's what a hustler does. That's the hustle. That's the game. And I used to be that dude. I used to be the dude going into a coin shop, smiling at the coin shop owner and knowing that they gave me a rare bar, but I was broke and I was trying to build up my inventory, but I had more knowledge than they did. They were too lazy to look up on eBay what those bars were going for. And this happens every day still. Not very often, because people know about rare collectibles now, but I was in that position like Gary Vee, goes around to these garage sales, finds things that were undervalued, and I used to be that person. Now, to be able to do that, to help other people get top dollar for their items and not have to be the person being that hustler, is such a rewarding feeling. As the first consignments are getting auctioned, and like one person thought that their item was going to go for less than what it went for. And it's like that, removing the friction and removing the layer and helping people be the hustler themselves rather than getting hustled is such an amazing feeling. Even coin dealers reaching out and saying, hey, I got these rare bars, I want to auction them off. It's like people are getting top dollar for their items now rather than having to go and be in some crazy negotiation process. It's like, let's see what it goes for. Start it at $1, see what it goes for, and we'll see what happens. And that's how people are going to get top dollar for their items and not have to deal with the hustlers, the negotiators, people that tell you that something's worth this much when it's worth a lot more. And so that's why I'm so passionate about building this auction idea. It's going to be such a cool place to grow. And so that's been what I've been working on for this past 5 years. And so to see it where it is now and knowing that I can scale it and knowing that I'm going to be getting a much bigger location and growing things, that's been the plan, And so who do you want to sell your items with? Do you want to sell it with a former hustler, or do you want to sell it to one of the hustlers? Because I won't, spin it any other way. Back when I was 23, 24, I was a stone cold hustler. I was going pawn shop to pawn shop to pawn shop, getting the rarest stuff possible that they didn't know was rare because they didn't do the research. And I was that person. So now I'm trying to be that person for you and trying to help people sell their items for top dollar rather than getting ripped off. And so that is my way of fixing this industry a bit. And also fixing the fact that when people call silver at $20 an ounce, fixing and showing people, no. The free market said it's worth 25 an ounce. Why are you saying it's worth 20 an ounce there? Because the free market on Mineral Exchange just proved it's worth 25. Maybe it's worth 30. We're proving it. How much is an ASE really worth? Let's find out. How much is a 100-ounce bar really worth? Let's find out. I'm not just going to trust some website with a buy it now. I'm not just going to trust somebody because they say the spot price is this amount. We're going to find out in real time. And so in the near term, I'm trying to grow it as fast as I possibly can. So if you could tell a friend or if you could let people know about it, make an account, It's really easy to use. There isn't any strings attached to it. The rules are very clear. There's 10 rules to show you how the format is. I'm very upfront about what I make and what the consignment cost. The consignment cost is zero. So for somebody to give me an item, it costs zero to them. Just they have to ship it in. So the photography, the shipping logistics, the invoicing, all of that stuff, just get a check emailed to you is pretty sweet if you're looking to sell your item. My cut is the 10% buyer's fee, but you can take that into consideration when you're making your bid because it starts at $1. That's the problem I found with these auction houses. There's one of my, I can actually call them a competitor now. I used to be just a kid roaming around in my car, but I'm going to say my competitor because I know that I'll be bigger than them one day. But my competitors will charge like 20%. They'll charge way, way, way too much for a buyer's fee. Some of them 30%, some of them even 40% on the buyer's fee. But they start, worse than that, they start the auction what they want to get out of it. So if it's a $2,000 item, they started at $2,000. And it's like, well, then why are you adding a buyer's fee and why are you even auctioning it? You should just have it as a buy it now on eBay. Why are you doing that? Pay the 13% to eBay and do a buy it now on eBay. Why even auction it? There's no point in that. So I saw through that. I went, hey, look, if I'm going to take a buyer's fee, people can at least know exactly what the buyer's fee is. No, there's no other strings attached. It's 10%, and they can take that into consideration. If you want to bid $3,000 on this, you can bid $2,700, and you're bidding, less than $3,000. So people can tell because it starts at $1. They know how much they want to go to because they know that ahead of time. And it's not starting at some number where I'm already profitable. I will take the risk. The consignor will take the risk because they're paying $0 to consign it. So that is the whole process, and that is the beauty of what I've been building. And I want to just be super real about it. And every dollar that goes to me is only going to continue to build the things that I'm building. This video, I might be sounding like a sellout, but I promise you, I own 100% of that website. Not a single percent to another equity holder. Not a single percent. So if somebody wants to come after me for building a free marketplace for silver and gold, well then I'm the guy. I'm the guy. I own all of it. I can say that publicly. There's people that want 10%. There's people that want 20%, but they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. I will never give up 51% of that company. You'd have to pay me a lot. You have to pay me a lot and make some really big promises. But I'm trying to build it so that I can scale this thing and make it into a place where it's a true free marketplace for precious metals. It's been my goal. And so now it comes down to execution. It's like there's other auction houses out there. There's eBay out there. You can put your item up on eBay. You're going to lose 13%. You're not going to have somebody do the photography, the marketing, all these different things there. And I have a less cost than that. But that's the thing. Like if you're not going to beat eBay's fees and you're not going to provide more value than eBay, how do you plan to ever convince somebody to use you instead of eBay? That's why I wanted to compete here, because I'm going, you know what? I could beat eBay's prices. I could be more upfront with the buyers than them. I could make it so that the process is a lot more smooth and people don't have to verify their account in the last minute. Like these are things I can compete here with this. And then also the other thing that I thought about with eBay is it's like they have shareholders to impress. These companies, they get so big that they have to, how do you impress a shareholder? Well, you make more profit. Well, how do you make more profit? Well, you charge more fees. So do you think those fees are going to go down? No, they're not. They're only going to go up. They're only going to go up because they have to impress their shareholders, period. And the companies gets bigger and bigger and bigger. They got to pay their employees. They got to make sure the shareholders are happy. Public companies are not the best place to be an auction house, in my personal opinion. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But everyone who supports me on this vision, I really appreciate you. Everyone who spends, again, if you spend over $1,000, I'm not even going to put a time limit on it. Maybe some people will be like, 10 minutes on the phone. I'm just going to call people on the phone that spend over $1,000 and just talk. It'll be directly from me, and I don't know how long it'll be. If you're interesting, maybe it'll be a long time. Who knows? But I'm curious to be able to talk to some of you all, and it's going to be fun. Right now, I think someone brought it up a little bit earlier. Right now, the website is only in the U.S. because my insurance doesn't cover over the borders. So eventually, I'm planning to get to Canada and possibly like Australia and Europe and stuff. But there's all different kinds like VAT taxes and things like that. Luckily, in the U.S., anything over 1,500 is tax exempt from where I'm at. But if you're doing overseas, there's all different kinds of regulations and insurance problems I run into. So right now, it is only U.S. based. We accept wire transfers, e-checks, and checks in the mail. And then we can accept PayPal too, but it's a little bit more of a fee to pay for the PayPal fees. That's why I don't like PayPal. Somebody compete with PayPal already. Will somebody compete with PayPal? I'm going to start an account and get a Zelle in there eventually in the future, but PayPal is charging way too much money. 3% is ridiculous. Anyway, right now it's only US based, but eventually it'll be further than that once I get the logistics set up for that. I think Canada will be next because they don't have any VAT taxes in Canada. And then eventually get it bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's gonna be fun. But now I basically am excited to provide a place for people to be able to unload their pieces of their positions if they want to. If they want to move from silver to gold, I'm going to help them with that. It's going to be really cool to see people actually getting more. I want people, you know what I want them to do? I want people to take their collection that they like, a piece of their collection that they want to sell, or maybe they want to sell a collection that, or whatever it is, take it to the pawn shop and see how much they offer you, and then auction it with me. Find out how much of a difference that is. I want to see like some real trials. Like I want to see what happens, because I'm putting a community of thousands and thousands and thousands of people on this website. And it's a lot more than what the local coin shop can pull in their marketing. It's a lot more than what a lot of big, $100 million plus companies pull in their marketing. Because if they could pull those kind of numbers in their marketing, they wouldn't be in my DMs. Miss that company out of Arizona that starts with MM, or anyway, all these they're in my emails, and I found out that I can screenshot it in the future. Maybe they're not gonna be in my emails, but they probably don't even watch my videos. They just see me as a number. Like, oh, he's got that many views. Well, let's try to get him to advertise our custodian products. I won't. I will take away your customers and get them top dollar for their product. Make sure they actually have custody of their items. Make sure they don't trust you with custody of their items. Make sure that they use something that actually gets them the most for their products. I'm going to come after you. So keep hitting my emails, though. Appreciate you. And then I wonder if they're following. I wish I could. One day I want to screenshot and share my emails, because there's some funny emails where I'll like comment back to them like, why would I ever tell people to trust you with their gold and silver? Like, I'll email them back and they'll be like, well, no, that's just for a percentage of their portfolio to trust us in addition to the money that that was their answer that they gave me. I'm like, why would I tell anybody to trust you being the custodian and get a percentage on their gold position with you holding it in your vault? The reason you get into gold is so that it's on your table. It's in your safe. You have custody of it. That's why you get into gold and silver. It's not about what price the stuff is. It is about that too, but it's about custody at the end of the day. So when I told them that, their answer to me, and this is what they'll tell you as a sales gimmick, well, if you have 100,000 to invest, trust us with 50,000 of it, and we'll hold it in our vaults and give you interest against that gold, and the other 50,000 take self-custody of it. We want you to do it in addition. I'm like, what a cute little sales gimmick that is. How about they own the 100% of it, the entire 100 grand in their safe, and then they can do whatever they want with it. Whether they want to barter with it with their neighbor, whether they want to send it to mineral exchange, whether they want to hold it for 10 years, 100 years, whatever they want to do, that's up to them. But I don't like this whole idea of trusting people with custody of it. I don't like the idea of mining stocks on TD Ameritrade, hoping that they'll be solvent enough for you. I don't like that idea. I like the idea of pitching people should own the real thing and sell the real thing if they want to sell the real thing. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. Let's get to a few more comments. This has been a long live stream, guys. This has been like a 2-hour live stream, so apologies if you're watching this at a later date. It's gone a little bit longer. We're gonna go through comments and stuff in this one. It's been one of the rambling ones. I'm pretty proud of launching the auction house, as you can tell. So apologies if I'm coming across as arrogant. It's been like a journey of somebody that really didn't come from a lot building it to where it is today. So I'm pretty excited about it all. So apologies if it comes across as arrogant. But I'm super stoked to see it turn into what it's turning into. Let's see here. Food, shelter, and precious metals. I agree with you, Abe. I agree with you. You guys are forgetting about brass. This is also true, Jason, but remember where you are here. You know, we want you to hit the like button and get the algorithm to pick this up, and they don't like those types of metals. They only like silver in the algorithm, but those metals also matter quite a bit. They're metals that, you know, they go pew, you know, things like that. Like those matter. Those matter. Well, the Canadians, they don't know too much about that. They don't know too much about that, but we do. We gotta be specific about how we get these videos out there. I appreciate that, Robert. Coming from another Robert, that means a lot. He says, Robbie, you're the best silver channel. I appreciate it, man. Well, the thing is, like, and I don't mean to, I have a big ego. I got a big chip on my shoulder because I've had to try to prove myself over my life. Like I haven't shared a lot of my personal, like my upbringing and stuff, but I grew up with a chip on my shoulder, the middle child type thing, stepchild, middle child type thing. So I still have that chip on my shoulder, but I saw that there was so many channels on YouTube that are not really part of the bullion game. They like weren't part of the real hustle. They're like people that need to go to a coin shop to get their opinion on silver or something like that. And it works. I mean, there's some great videos out there for some of that. And like but for me, it's like, you know what? With everything that's going on in the world today, I'm cool with showing my face. I'm cool with it. I will take that risk of showing my face. I'm not going to hide behind my camera and show my hands. I know that people are going to be mad at me for saying that, but it's like, show who you are, man. You know what? Here's the funny thing. Like if the true matter was, if you're afraid of other people, then your community might not love you as much as you think. If you're afraid of them, I want to meet my community. You know, with YouTube, like I hope I eventually can meet more people in real life. I hope that I get a bigger operation where I can meet more people face to face and things like that. But I'm not afraid of anyone, because if they want to come after me, they better have the fear of God, because I'm prepared for those types of situations. But the truth is it's like if you're trying to hide your identity, but you're collecting AdSense, you're collecting ad revenue, well, then your name is documented. So why are you hiding behind a screen? You're known. If they want to know who I am, they know who I am already, whether I show my face or if I show my hands. Like you're documented on your channel. What are you talking about? You accept an AdSense payment into your bank account. They know who you are. So you might be talking, oh, I care about if they know my identity. No, they know who you are. They have your information. So what are you hiding for? Show your face. Be in the business. Some of these YouTubers, I see them that they're doing like auctions, and they're helping the community move forward, and they're doing their own hustles and stuff. And I like that. That's something I respect a lot. But I want to see more people like just showing who they are as a person and being real with people. And so that was my little part of what I wanted to do with the YouTube channel and grow here. And the fact that it's grown as big as it is, I'm humbled. I remember when I broke over 5,000, I was like, oh my, more than 5,000 people on that YouTube channel? That's crazy. More than 1 million video views. Like, that's wild. And that just blew my mind. But it's really an outlet that I can talk to more people. So it's like, I don't know. Sorry that I call them out so much, but I just wish that more people just put themselves out there and told it like it is, you know? Anyway, a lot of great channels out there that are the Talking Hands channels. I respect him, VT247. That's true. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to see more of that, because it's like, what are you hiding from, man? If you're part of if you got pews, bro. Like, what are you thinking? Armada's coming after you because you showed like, come on, you know? To me, I just never understood that. It's like, I have very, 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 very good security, to the point where it's like, I'm comfortable. But anyway, let me get to a few more comments in here, and then we'll call it a live stream. Rob, show your full stack. I'm broke. Robert, or who said that? Robert later says, show your full stack. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. I show a lot more pictures on the Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, @RobSultan on Instagram, I give a heads up when I go live on the Instagram account. And also, I post a lot of my collectibles and things that I hold, like this coin here. If you wanted to see a better picture of this coin and like what this is and what it's about, check my Instagram at Rob Sultan on Instagram. If you want to see like better pictures of the silver bars, everything that goes on auction and stuff goes on the Mineral Exchange Instagram. What's cool about the Mineral Exchange Instagram is every single post is an item that's on the auction block. So if you see an item on Mineral Exchange on the like the gallery of Instagram, on my Instagram at Mineral Exchange, every single item there is being auctioned on mineralexchange.com. So you have access to it. It's not like on Instagram, there's a lot of teases. There's a lot of people that are like, check out my collection, and it's not like actually available. And I was one of them. And so it's kind of cool to be able to post things that are actually on the auction block now. So if you want to follow that and you want to see like what's on the auction block every week, Instagram is where I'm at on that front. At Mineral Exchange on Instagram, at Rob Sultan on my personal one on Instagram. I'm pretty active on both of them lately. Mineral Exchange is just photos of like the items, so there's not much. There doesn't get very much likes or any traction over there. There's a lot of people watching it, but they just want to see the photos. So it's just kind of a gallery on that page if you want to follow that. But it all crosses together. You'll probably see that when you go to Instagram. But of all the platforms, I think Instagram is the most undervalued. YouTube and Instagram, I think, are the top two. Twitter is like the worst. It's the worst. I'm not a fan of Twitter. I've tried it. I don't like it. Instagram's cool because you have the ability to DM people. You have the story there, so you can share things in real time. Like when I went live today, I said, hey, I'm going live in 10 minutes on my story on Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people saw that there. So often YouTube doesn't notify you, even though I recommend clicking the subscribe and then the bell afterwards. I recommend doing that, but sometimes it doesn't notify you still. But if you follow me on Instagram and you check the stories there, I notify you on the Instagram, on the story there on Instagram. So I like Instagram and I like YouTube. Those are the two that I'm going with. It's funny. I went on TikTok for like a day and I dropped a video on there and it went like super viral. I probably should make more TikToks, but that platform is like painful. But I dropped a video there and it got like 600,000 views. And I'm like, okay, I guess I should be doing more TikToks. But wow, I guess that was pretty wild. I like doing more long form stuff, but I guess the short form stuff is pretty popular. But the Instagram has been a good thing, I think. Yeah, Jason says, didn't notify me. Yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll get a notification there at least. You'll see like if you check my stories on Instagram, you'll get a notification whenever I post a new video or I go live. You'll always, even if you miss the live feed, you'll at least be notified that I made a new video if you follow me on Instagram. So it's good to not be like all on one place, and they cross very well. So I feel like if I don't want to put all my eggs in just one basket. But the better part, here's the best part about owning a website. I own the .com. Mineralexchange.com, I own the whole thing. So everybody who makes an account, I have a way to never be taken down, which is crazy. I just realized that. So it's like my whole concern is like mitigating if something ever happened to one platform that I have other platforms to speak on or to grow on. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Everybody who registers an account, you're on the email list. So basically we're able to never be taken down because I own that website. Nobody else owns it. Interesting. That should give you a reason to register, right? Please register. It's free to register. The $1 if you want to be verified for all auctions forever and be put in the giveaways, but only $1, by the way. No more than that, just one. But it's free to register. So register an account, make sure you put in the right email and the right phone number, and that's the best decentralized way. How could you be more decentralized than that, than owning the actual list itself and owning the website? You can't take down a website that the person owns, right? Interesting. We're doing all right. We're doing all right now. I just realized that. Like, I'm excited about building the auction house, but the fact that I have the list outside of, and I'm going to make the giveaways like I'm not going to say the exact amount of bidders on the website because it's a pretty, I don't want to give out that information publicly, but it's a good number. But I will be giving away more than 10 times. I'm going to say that publicly in giveaways to anybody who pays the $1. I'm going to give away more than 10 times the amount of dollars I've taken in. So I will take a net loss of 10x the dollars that it costs to get on the website. So say hypothetically I bring in 1,000 people on the website that pay $1. I'm going to give away $10,000. If I bring in 1,000 people that pay $1, I will literally give away 10 times more. That's a lot, actually. I said it already. I can't go back on my word. 10 times more. 10 times. There's $10,000 that goes in there, 100,000 in giveaways. I will do it. That works for me. So if that doesn't prove that it's not for a profit to verify the bidders and it's just to verify the community, I don't know what will. I'll give away 10 times more. I feel like that was a good thing. But yeah, maybe I should be doing more TikToks. If you go on TikTok, I literally made like 3 videos and one of them went like super viral and it was literally the last one. And I'm like, wait a minute, I probably should keep going with that if I make one video and it goes that viral. It got like more views than like any video I've ever done. It was like an inflation video I did on TikTok. So follow me there too. I think I'll probably spend more time on Instagram. Tree Climber says, careful. Like, what if 100,000 people sign up, Tree Climber, and then I'm like, oh, I just put myself on the record. I'm going to do 1 million in giveaways. But I want to grow the place, you know? Like, so it's like if it got to those kind of numbers, like maybe we'll put a cap on it. If it gets to 10,000, because it'll take a long time to get there. But if it gets there, we'll put a cap there, I guess. I don't know. But because that's $100,000 in giveaways. But I hope it gets to like, you know, a few thousand so I can give away like a good 10, 20 grand worth of stuff. That'll be fun too. It'll be fun too. And everybody who gets in, you're going to get a strip of paper in here. So everybody who pays that $1 gets a strip of paper in this bin and we'll do it like live. We'll basically do like, this is $100 worth of stuff we're giving away and then pull out one at a time or something on those. It'll be fun. 10K cap equals 100K in giveaway. Don't pay the $1, guys. I spoke too soon. No, I'm just kidding. I stand by it. I'll do it. We'll put it too late, buddy. Too late. Well, guys, it turns out I'm bankrupt. 100,000 people signed up and I had to give away $1 million because I said so. And you know, it is what it is. No, there'll be a lot of giveaways. It'll be fun too. And whenever I go live, maybe we'll do it like on a weekly basis or something. Every time I go live on a Friday or something like that, we'll review what items are being auctioned and do like 5 pulls out of the box or something like that. It'll be fun. Let me see. Nonja says, doesn't silver usually crash in the summer like every year though? Honestly, everything doesn't do too well in the summer because people are vacationing. And honestly, yeah, I can't. Every single summer, the business slows down a bit. So, but this time around too is the things that like things are getting lifted so people can actually go enjoy themselves and go be on vacation. There isn't all these lockdowns in the same way. So this summer specifically, people are probably spending a lot more and being a little bit more, spendy with their vacations and things like that. So I'd imagine everything slows down a bit. It'd be interesting. Enzo says, hey, Rob, do you post to Australia? I don't yet, but I'm working on the logistics with it because I think that Australia is pretty lenient with bullion. My biggest concern about opening up worldwide is that there's different like VAT taxes and things like that and insurance protocols to different places. So I'm not set up for it yet. So not yet, but in the future, that'll probably be on the list. I know Canada, I'm going to be in first. I'm not there yet, but Canada is coming up. And then Australia will probably be next after that because those are the 2 most lenient countries other than the US. So it all depends on like what your codes are. I know like the UK is pretty rough. A lot of Europe is pretty rough with metals. But Australia, I believe, is pretty lenient. So I'll look into Australia for sure. But in the U.S., like with flat rate boxes and stuff with the USPS, so we're able to move a lot of weight because of flat rate boxes and things like that. So the U.S. is really key, and it's where the insurance covers and everything like that. So eventually I'll get to worldwide, but right now it's U.S. only. And I will let you all know on the Instagram or on YouTube as well whenever it does go international. So I know a lot of people are international here, but I'm working on that. Give me a little bit of time. But right now it's U.S. only. I'm losing my voice a little bit on this one, guys. We went a long time on this one. We're almost up to 2 hours and 30 minutes. If you're still watching this and you haven't subscribed, anyway. I got lucky that day. I knew that it was low and wanted to do a trade like that, so I drove to my LCS and found out when I walked in that silver had dropped a lot. Be prepared. September's lack of harvest could be the catalyst that crashes everything and is still standing. Buy close. Theta's correct. Abe says Venezuela is using precious metals for buying food. It's pretty wild. But Theta is definitely correct. I remember I was watching some videos on social media, and there was a video of a farmer, and they were talking about how expensive it is for their hay and for all their materials to take care of their cattle, and how it's going to affect the prices of all of this stuff in the near future. And so I believe you're totally right about that. And I am like that too. Theta, literally, if you go to my Instagram, there's a picture. Some people were DMing me, and like they noticed that I have like multiple pairs of the same kind of shoes, and I wear like multiple. Like, it's funny. People think I wear like a fancy shirt. It's all the same shirt that's like $20. It's all like a company I found that makes super cheap dress shirts. So I wear the same thing, and that's what they told me when I was a kid. They told me that I had some sort of Asperger's or something when I was a kid, but I think they're crazy because I like the same thing. I like to have multiples of the same thing, so I don't have to think about that in the morning. I know what pants I'm going to wear. I know what shirt I'm going to wear. I don't have to deal with that like problem. I like when I like something, and I get multiples of it. And I think you're right. I think it's a good time to get multiples of your shoes, multiples of, toothpaste, multiples of whatever shampoo you use or whatever it is. Like, if you can afford multiples of things that have a long shelf life, right now is a good time for that. Having a big freezer and a lot of meats in your freezer, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal, I think. Yeah. I can't wait. If I had it my way, I'd have a compound out in like Nevada or something right now with solar panels and like the whole thing. The only thing that there's like a drought over. I don't know. I got to figure out where I'm going to bring things in the future, but it's something to think about. Something to think about for sure. Rob, diesel engine oil is running out in 3 to 7 weeks. Diesel fuel is already running out. It's pretty scary. Pretty scary. It's the price of fertilizer that will drive the cost of food up. Production of fertilizer has slowed, and the price has gone way up. Lower yield, higher prices. It's true. It's true. And here's the thing: is like, are wages going to change fast enough for these price increases? Are the bosses of the world, are all the people going to go to their employees and say, "Hey, food's 100 times more expensive, so I'm doubling your wages from $4,000 a month to $8,000 a month"? I highly doubt it. So right now is a good time to develop a side hustle, I think. Have some way to make cash flow. If your job is a good one, you got a good boss, and they're consistent and they care about you, that's another thing. But I think right now is a time to try to develop some sort of side hustle, because it's wild. It's wild. It's so crazy to think about that. This is not something that we've ever gone through. We've never had a fiat currency that's gotten to this point for more than 50 years. And then now you have competition trying to take it off of its pedestal as reserve currency. And at the same time, you have inflation getting out of control with incompetent leaders. I mean, literally, the fact that our leaders are begging like OPEC and begging other countries to lower their prices of oil and import their oil to us when we're sitting on more than enough oil to not only for our whole country to be energy independent, but to export it to our allies. We're doing a disservice to our allies by not pumping oil here. It's sickening. Like, and I like a solar panel too. I like a solar panel, but here's the thing. Who's going to pay for the solar panels if we're broke? Who's going to pay for the renewable energies if we're broke? If you want solar panels, and I like solar panels, I like me a solar panel, but I'm going to need money to do that. And if all these other countries are pumping oil right now, that's an opportunity cost for us to be able to make money and capitalize off of our oil here in the country. And we could be making a fortune off of it and building renewable energies in the process. If global warming was a real thing, hypothetical, don't shut me down, just Hypothetical. Then why do all these leaders have, beachfront houses? I'm curious. Is it a real thing? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But it turns out that all these leaders have beachfront properties everywhere on like islands and stuff in Florida and the Keys. And like, why do they have these beachfront properties? Why do they spend so much money on their beachfronts if they are so against them? If they believe the water is going to rise and all of that. It's kind of weird. So I don't know. And so if our leaders are literally saying like, oh, we don't have a problem. I saw, let's just say our leader that doesn't know his name, bringing up that in the most political way possible. It was a recent conversation he had, or a recent talk he had with all the other G7 countries, and he said to literally all the countries whose inflation levels are lower than ours, he had the nerve to say the U.S. has lower inflation than like other places. Maybe talking about like Venezuela or something. And literally every single nation in that room has lower inflation levels. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I'm watching that and I'm like, I wonder if people actually buy this. Like, do they not? Does this individual really hope that like everyone is so incompetent that they don't even look up the numbers? Like, it's like, what is going on? What is going on? Turn on the freaking pipeline. Turn on our oil. Like, how much pain do you need to put people through before you just turn on our pipelines? The goal, it's like if your end objective is to make inflation get to insane levels, make gas prices go to insane levels, make cost of living go to insane levels, you would do exactly as the people in power are doing right now. But they care. Oh, and in California, they're going to give you a stimulus. They're going to give you a stimulus for how high inflation is making gas. So they're going to fight inflation with inflation. That's what they're going to do. Like, it's like, these are the, like, it's like, it blows my, like, who put these people in power? I don't understand. And why do the people, it's some scary stuff. It's scary stuff. And I don't want to say the wrong things here. I want to keep our community growing, but I think people know where my stance is. I'm not right. I'm not left. I'm a libertarian. I'm a libertarian. I'm more conservative than a conservative. If people want to know if I'm conservative or not, I'm more conservative than conservative. I'm more liberal than a liberal. I believe in go away. I believe in them. I believe in government. Get off my lawn. Thank you. I would appreciate it if you get off my lawn. That's what I believe in. I'm not right, not left. I'm libertarian. I'm more than both of them. I'm more conservative than a conservative. I just say, get off my lawn. I want you to be smaller and have less of you around because you do a terrible job. I think people know where I stand. And so that's how I feel. I believe in get off my lawn. And if people, the funny thing is, it's like if you let the free market actually run itself and you let people actually, I believe in like making the country as well equipped as possible to have more entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs make stuff. And more people making stuff means more stuff, and more stuff means a better economy and means lower prices of stuff and more competition. If you got more grocery stores, then the price of the groceries go down and people get more competitive. If you got more people running businesses, it gets more competition and the price goes down, and we have a better world. That's why the world was it was a lot easier to buy a house back when we were on a gold standard. It was a lot easier to buy your living expenses when you were on a gold standard because it was fair. We had a fair system that didn't allow. The truth is people with high IQs and people who are born into wealth in addition, and often it's not both, but those individuals know how to leverage a system that is corrupt enough to print this much money. So somebody that knows how to leverage, this fictional fairy dust money can get ahead pretty quick in real estate and things like that because they're leveraging this fictional money. But when it was on a gold standard, you couldn't just leverage this easily. You couldn't take the fictional fairy dust money and be able to leverage yourself into having this big real estate portfolio like you can now. And so like things like that are how these individuals get so much further ahead than the pack. And it's caused simply because of Keynesian economics. It's why it's caused. If we didn't have Keynesian economics, I don't care how much they want to say otherwise. If we had Austrian economics and we had a deflationary world, I would be very curious to see how that world would look. We'd probably have very good lives. Things would probably be very cheap and fair priced. And I think everybody would be in a better place in a deflationary world, with a deflationary currency rather. But we'll never know because we never had that. Well, we did have it at one point, but we only have it for select intervals of time. And ironically enough, in those select intervals of time, things have been in great, like the economy was booming under a gold standard. The people were living. I mean, we just haven't had, we've never tested a true deflationary money or a hard money in a modern time. And that's what I hope we see in the future. I hope in the future we see a hard money, a sound money in modern times, to see what the economy would do in modern times with this kind of technology, but with fair, real money. That is my end goal. That is what I want to see happen in the future. And by the way, everybody, I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy with the things that I'm working on. I'm very happy in my life. I am very well guarded. I really love my life. Just so everybody knows, then I'm very clear about that. And I'm going to be careful about the words I say, but I really enjoy my life, everybody. I'm a very happy person that wants to be around for a very long time. I want to see my 90s. I would like to be very old at some time. I'm very, 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 very happy. All right. With that being said, we will call it a night. We'll call it a night, everybody. Please do. Please, please. If you like my videos, if you want to support me, if you want me to get bigger, if you want me to have a larger presence on social media, I promise, if you've been following my channel, I've been around on YouTube for almost 2 years now, I think. Maybe it's been over 2 years. Somewhere around 2 years. I haven't changed my views at all. I was against every single stimulus package. You can go back in my videos. I was vocally against every stimulus package. I was saying how bad it was going to cause the economy to be where we are today. I was every single thing that I'm saying right now, I said a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I'm not changing. So if you support that message and you want to see this channel get bigger, please do help me with growing Mineral Exchange, because that is my business. I do not promote another person's business. I don't have another coin dealer here telling you how to run the business. I don't have another auction company telling you like that I'm advertising for. I own 100%. There's not a percent equity position other than me owning that website. So if you want me to grow, please do help me with growing mineralexchange.com or mineralx.com. Both of them go to the same place. Both of them are very hard domains to get. But I'm really excited about growing there, and I'm excited about helping people as well with the new website and getting it to a new level, with helping the precious metals community. And I feel like this is the way to make a true free marketplace. So thanks again, everybody. And I will see you at the next video. Have a great night, everyone. This one was a long one. We did this one. So someone was watching this. If you're watching this video at a later time, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. Some people, they want to be in the live stream. Some people want to watch it later. This was a longer one. So hopefully maybe you can listen to this via kind of podcast in your car or something like that. But I have a really great time with you all. I really appreciate everybody spending so much time in here. We had a pretty great room here. So thank you so much for all the support, everybody. Appreciate all the love. And thank you for just being part of this channel. And if you want to see this all grow, maybe tell a friend or two, maybe share on social media, Mineral Exchange. Say, hey, there's some cool items up there. Tell a friend or two. And I'm really excited to grow in this space and take it to a new level. And it's been hard. I'll tell you what, it's been hard turning down a lot of these advertisers, because you can make a lot of money doing advertisements. There's not just the YouTube ones, but if you have like, this is brought to you by whatever, you can make a lot of money doing that. So this whole time I'm like, I'm building my own website. I'm building my own website. I'm building it. I'm like turning down all of this money because I don't believe in their product, A, but B, I'm building my own thing. And so this is my vision and getting it to this level. So it's exciting to see it happen. So anyone that helps me grow, I really, really appreciate it. And I'm not going to change in any way. So when I say like this video is brought to you by Mineral Exchange, it's brought to you by me. It's not brought to you by a different company. I am being a shameless plug. I am shilling my company, Mineral Exchange, but it's because I own the whole thing. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. I will see you at the next video. I see all these comments. I want to comment on these comments because they're always, you guys, I always have a really, our community, if there's one thing, we got the best community here because the comment section, I have nobody moderating the comments. Usually you see comments where people are all over the board, but like everyone is like-minded. Everyone is putting super good information in the comment section. So it's not just about me rambling. Our comments here, and this is why I specifically clicked the button to show the live comments at later times so people can actually see the comments. But the comment sections in these videos are where it's at. And it's just so crazy that we can have such a good community with no moderator. All comments are allowed. No one's moderating the comment section. So I really miss doing these live streams. I hope you guys can see what I've been working on. I hope you know that I'm not just making up excuses on why I haven't been making YouTube videos as much as I could be. I've been building my own miniature eBay, and it's been really hard to do. And it's one thing to build it. It's another thing to know how to operate it too. That's where it really comes down. It's like, that's the hardest part, is knowing how to upload and how to make sure like everything's up to standard and running it. That is the hard part. And it took me a while to learn all of that. And now it's finally at a more of a hard launch phase rather than like a lower launch cycle with the website. So it's exciting to see it all happen and have 18 items ending this Sunday. It's live, you know, so excited for it. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. I know I've said it like 3 times now, but I see more of these comments coming in, and I'll keep talking and talking and talking, and we'll be here, and all of us will never sleep. So I got to end it at some point. But have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Appreciate all the support, all the love. See you at the next video. Signing out.